Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. We got a PartyCast going on. We've got Brooke here, we've got Chris here, and we've got Pernell here. How's everyone doing?
Alphabetical.
Drunk.
Was it?
Nice.
Brooke, Chris, Pernell. Yeah, it was. Huh.
I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Well, throwing off the whole alphabetical thing is the fact that we have a guest, and we got a
7.
What?
It's true. Guest should have been before Pernell, but after Chris.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Ewan Mallinson, how are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing good, thanks. It's good to be here.
You were here to chat about your game Isle of Jura on Steam. For the people who don't know what this game is, give us the sales pitch.
So if you like fishing and Animal Crossing, this would be right up your street. It's my first release game. It's just a very small fishing game set on an island. There's some different things to do. You can talk to the residents, you can collect some artifacts, but it's all about kind of just fishing. There's multiple different types of fishing. It's about roughly a 2-hour
Hey
game.
kids.
Maybe if you try to catch all the fish, get all the achievements. But yeah, it's just a little relaxing, chill fishing game.
You stole my bit. I was already to go. It's like Animal Crossing and fishing. You're like, well, if you like those two, it's like, damn it. What do I say now?
Pernell, are you out of ideas to talk about now?
I am. Well, wait. There's one more. So you're saying it's like Animal Crossing and fishing? Let me stop. I kid. I was surprised.
It's got that fishing from Animal Crossing, but like none of the other features. So don't worry about that.
Well, I've described it because I'm at a place today. It was like, you got an interview coming up. I was like, yeah. He's like, what is it about? So like, it's about a game called the Isle of Jura, which first and foremost, I was surprised when I went to look it up initially that Isle of Jura is an actual island too.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
Well, I was originally going to call the game Isle of Sky, but there's already a game on Steam called Isle of Sky, so I had
a board game.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, apparently there is. So yeah, I just picked the next island which came to mind. I've not been to Jura. I have been to the Isle of Coll, but yeah, just Isle of Jura. Cool place.
Okay. So like Bob was like, this game is basically fishing and Animal Crossing if you had a goal for your fishing. So the premise, to my recollection, is, and I'm probably going to get the term paper type wrong, trust me on that. The main character is trying to write a paper to graduate from college, right? He's trying to get out of college, like her dissertation or thesis.
We call it a dissertation here, but it's like her final kind of project thing. It was not anything complicated. It was just kind of a small narrative to actually give the player like a reason as to why they're fishing.
But in some respects, like I feel like that's important. Like,
yeah,
if you wanted to go full Animal Crossing, you could have had her get the fishing rod and be like, okay, that'll be $90,000, and you can pay that down.
Yeah,
give her an absurd loan. But like, it's just kind of nice. Like, even though, like you said, it's just a narrative excuse to get her on the island. Unlike Animal Crossing, it's still just kind of nice to be like, hey, my fishing has its own like narrative purpose, because in that game you have to give it a narrative purpose, as in I want to fill the museum or whatever. And it also feels like an attainable goal, which is also something in Animal Crossing. Yeah, it might be possible, but most people aren't going to pull that mess off. It takes too much dedication. And I kind of like that about it.
Are you saying you don't pay off your loans in Animal Crossing, Pernell?
Well, I do that because the Animal Crossing is a simple matter of the turnip market. Money is nothing in that game. But the fishing is another story. You can't stalk market the fish. you got to wake up at 4 a.m. to catch those jerks. Ain't nobody got time for that. Isle of Jura, I can go out, get the right rod.
I gotta wait for a terrain for a coelacanth. That's bullshit.
Isle of Jura, I just go to the other side of the island with the right rod and I'm covered. And I like that. I'm fine with that. I don't need that crazy time, day and night nonsense or weather.
Well, I was actually working on a dynamic weather / day-night thing but it never made it into the final version, unfortunately.
Could there be a sequel? Isle of Jura 2? Jura Harder?
Jura Harder, did you say?
I'd need to find another island, I think.
Electric Juraloo.
Ooh, nice.
Juraloo. You guys are terrible today. You guys are terrible today.
Well,
No,
like we
we're on
said,
our game.
Pernell's having his very first margarita right now, so this is quite the day, bro. We're gonna have to expect some shenanigans over here. I can't believe that the amount of content for $4.99 that this game's providing. I really, Joe got me pumped about this game. He was like, "Hey, it's a really cool fishing game. It's got Animal Crossing stuff going on, and yeah, for the price, I didn't expect this much entertainment out of it. You say 2 hours and you could probably complete it. If you're stupid like me, you're getting 6 to 7 hours out of this because I got lost a lot. And I like a game. You're not supposed to get lost in this game, by the way. So that's not a complaint. I like a game you can get lost in a little bit. Although it's probably impressive that I got lost in the little town.
Yeah, it's very,
I really enjoyed it.
very impressive that you got lost.
This is a compact berg. But it's a nice little berg, which actually brings me to a nice thought there too. And as far as like Inquisition, you said it's your first game, right?
Yeah, this is my first ever actual release title. So I've been in the game industry for a couple of years. I had done small projects or projects that are released through studios, but this is my own first release project. Yeah.
Oh, wow!
So,
congrats.
Yeah, very much congratulations because it is a good game and bug free. Holy shit!
Thank God.
Well, bug free for you. I had some other issues, but
yeah,
they're all small issues. It's not cyberpunk level stuff.
I'm not gonna get drawn into like the netherscape of the back end of Jura, but and so it turned out well. It's a nice compact game that it does everything you wanted to do as far as like a solid base level game. But aside from the day and night cycle that we mentioned before, if you had more time and potentially even more manpower on it, what are some features you would like to add? Because I can tell you right now, coming into this game, I was definitely hoping for more interactions with the townsfolk and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, that's one of the things I did slightly regret about the project was I think it turned out well overall. I did find myself wanting to add more content. As I mentioned, I was working on weather and a day-night system, so that the usual thing is to have different fish appear at different times or in different weathers, which I wanted to do. There was also I wanted to do more island residents, but unfortunately I lost my character designer / modeler 3/4 of the way through the project, so I had to kind of make do with what I had. So yeah, I definitely would have liked to do more, but I was limited by the fact I'm kind of only one person. Certainly if I had to other people, then yeah.
Did you take the price point down at all when you lost that partner? Were you imagining for this price point? Because I really thought a lot was going on here.
Yeah, I would have kept the price point. I mean,
oh wow, cool.
Pricing in games is always hard because you spend, or at least for independent studios, developers, you spend a year or 2 years making this thing, and if people sometimes complain about having to pay why is this indie game $6.99 or whatever, it's people will literally go into McDonald's and buy a burger and fries that costs that. Yeah. But then you're expected to make a whole game that is either that or cheaper. So the whole pricing thing is a little tricky with
And I don't get a high cholesterol bump from playing Isle of Jura either.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hope not.
So and I mean it's worth noting, by the way, too, you kept it nice, small, and compact, but to find an interesting result of that is you were able to freaking finish the project as a result, because one thing that generally happens with indie development with small teams is their ambition goes beyond the scope of the time allotted to them, and they end up ultimately, unfortunately, dropping their projects because they just can't get it done. So major kudos for just saying, I want to get this done. I'm going to make this a scope within reason for myself and knock it out. Completely unrelated to what I just said, though. Question: why fishing of all things? Are you a fishing aficionado or?
Yeah, well, aficionado. I love it.
That's kind of related to what you said in terms of scope, because when I was going through designs for making my first thing, the first idea I had was actually an ecosystem game. So it would be you start on this barren landscape and you kind of revive it with plants and animals and that kind of thing. But it was just way too ambitious. When I kind of sat down and scoped out how long it would take me, I kind of realized, oh, this will take me literally 4 years to make.
Yeesh.
So this is a no-go. So I went through other concepts. I was inspired by a game called A Short Hike. You might have played it or seen it.
I have heard of it.
Yeah. And I liked the fishing in that, but I thought it was a bit basic because obviously it's just the one mechanic and it's not very complex. So I liked that mechanic and I kind of took it further. And I just thought it was something doable that was fun, but was within my reach to not only make a game, but also to finish it and have it be mostly bug-free and good quality.
Okay.
Well, I always really value games higher, I think, than other people price-wise. I'm not sure if everybody would agree with me, and that's totally cool if not, but like I played a bunch of Stardew Valley, I played a bunch of Animal Crossing, and before the latest Animal Crossing release came out, the years I was waiting, I played a bunch of Animal Crossing knockoffs too. Like I played them all, Seabeard, all that, and I played $15. I paid $15 for plenty games that give about as much content as this game is giving. So I don't know if maybe my sense of value is a little skewed as to what's the norm, but I would pay $50 for this as is. Like I think what you've done here is really cool. I couldn't believe the price point. And the fish, the main thing I want to say to you today is the fish are so cute. Oh my God. I caught a sturgeon this morning and it's so cute. I caught the fish that's spelled FSH. Did you guys catch that one? The one with that?
I don't think I caught what I had like a spelling. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, I don't think I caught that one.
Oh man, maybe I got a rare one, but it just like I just lost it because when I was a little kid, one of my favorite jokes was that joke of like, hey, what do you call a fish without eyes? And this is that is that little joke personified, and it's so cute. Like I think the fish and the creatures you catch in this game, the little shrimp, I think they're really well done. I think like they're just adorable.
Well, I'm not an artist by profession. I'm a programmer in my day job, so that's good to hear because I'm not a visual artist. So glad this came out well.
I did want to ask. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. Are there any specific fishing games? You know, I'm seeing a lot of. In the mini games, as you get the different tools, as you kind of level up and get more fishing rods and nets and stuff, it feels a lot like Stardew Valley's fishing mechanics, like that green bar that kind of hops around. But you've done a lot with that. You've made a lot of mini games, like kind of with that concept. Is that the game that has inspired the fishing mechanics for you the most, or is there another game that?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at a wide range of fishing mechanics. Stardew was certainly up there. A Short Hike had a very simple one, but it did include movement of the character, which I considered. I wanted to make something that was simple enough, but also complex enough that it was fun, and I think I managed to find an okay balance.
Yeah.
A lot of other fishing mechanics in games have you just kind of click, and then you just wait for a fish to bite, and then you just click again, which is not very exciting. So I wanted it to be a bit more active. So yeah. Hopefully I achieved that.
Starting out in Stardew Valley, it's so like fishing's so challenging. I honestly think you've kind of made a better mini game for that, especially for like the first few hours of a game.
Nice, better than Stardew.
Once you level up to like fishing level 4 or 5 in there, it's a different ball game. But every new player of Stardew Valley is like, I hate fishing. I'm never going to do it. A lot of people try to go their whole game without doing it, not knowing there's so much content there later. But your learning curve there doesn't feel too steep. Like I might lose a few fish at the beginning when I'm learning one of the new tools, but I can get there. You know, it's not frustrating, but it is challenging enough to where I'm not like looking away, checking my phone while I'm waiting for a fish to bite, you know, which other games I'm definitely doing that.
I think it was a good move to start the player off with a net.
Me too.
And I like that slider thing because I like golf games and they always have that slider.
The net though. I was just going to say the inspiration for that came from, I don't know if you have it over there, but there's this arcade game we have here called The Stacker, where there's a bunch of cubes that move left and right, and you have to time it correctly to like slot in the middle.
It's a redemption game, right? The game where like it's impossible at like the second to last level.
Yeah.
Isn't that like brutal Klaxon or something over here?
No, it's called Stacker. Think of like an arcade. it's an arcade game. Like it's one of those like ticket redemption games where you start out and it's like, okay, here's a platform. The box is going left to right. You got to stop it in the middle. Going left to right, you got to stop in the middle. And the higher up it goes, the faster the block goes, and the timing goes bonkers.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of it now. I have played this. I suck at it.
I've been robbed at that game before. Like, I know.
If you haven't been robbed at that game, you haven't lived.
I know. I saw that middle light flash when I hit the button, and it jumped back.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminds me of like
that machine cheated me. I wanted
you ain't getting that iPod Classic.
Nope.
The problem is like it reminds me like in my early 20s, like doing like the first time I played the shell game, and I know the shell game is rigged. I had no intention of winning it, but you always find yourself thinking, I can find the trick. I can spot the trick and beat the system at its own game. But with that stacker, the timing, I don't even think is like visually apparent. You can't like press the button 3 ticks in advance. It's just like, no, the box will just move on its own wherever it wants to fucking go. Brutal. But thankfully, the Isle of Jura doesn't pull that nonsense. You learn the good things about stacker and apply those concepts.
It's not rigged. It's just random what fish you get. That's the only thing that might annoy people.
Now here's a question though I thought about, earlier they mentioned the net. If you were to do additional content or a follow-up to Jura, would you end up applying the fishing net to bug catching?
Yeah, that was actually an idea I had. One idea that was a possibility was, because I know there's a mechanic in Terraria, which I've played, where you catch bugs with the net and then you use them as bait, and the different bugs have obviously different bait qualities to catch different fish. So again, I did have quite a few ideas to expand the content, but I was just limited by time and the fact I'm only one person.
Of course.
Stop demanding more, Pernell. He's only one person.
Demand. Give me the fun.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm good cop, bad copping over here with Pernell. And Pernell's like, hey, you gonna do anything else? And I'm like, hey, man, this is worth $15. Don't sell yourself short, dude. This is a 6-hour game, not 2 hours.
My next game, wait for my next game.
What is your next game going to be?
I don't know. But wait for it.
Pernell's got ideas.
Well, we can be sure that game will be a blast.
Oh, yeah.
And it will have a 2 in it.
Okay, I like that.
I got to ask, though, because I do this with all the guests that come on our show. Outside of your own game, what are some of your favorite games in the landscape that you've been playing or that you enjoy playing?
Let's see. Ooh, good question. Need to think now. Go through these. I will say one of the best co-op experiences I've had, maybe not recently, but I had, semi-recently. I'm playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic simply for the co-op shooting. Rock and Stone to any players of Deep Rock. But yeah, no, that co-op experience is honestly the best. And the devs at that studio are great because they did a whole battle pass, but it was completely for free. So
that's awesome.
That was very cool.
Because Deep Rock Galactic, that's a game a friend of mine was trying to get me to get into for a while, and I want to.
It's good. Play it.
It's fun. It's fun. Like it gets weird when you like get lost. Like I remember we were on one planet. For those who are in the know, like what the hell is Deep Rock Galactic? You're like these dwarven miners who blast off to various planets that have their own ecosystems, and you just dig for for resources, and you fight like underground subterranean like creatures that are fighting back at you. And you ultimately, if I remember correctly, you have to like find if I remember how you go, you have to find like an escape pod, or you have to find your ship after you've been digging for a while. One of the two things. And it was to the point where like I would get so caught up in digging one tunnel that I just kind of keep going. I'm going to keep digging until the game says you can't go that direction anymore. And that's not the smart way to play, which always made it problematic when it was time to vacate the premises. Like, well, hold on, guys, I'm on my way back very slowly. But it is a legitimately good game, except for that damn basketball mini game in the ship. That game can go to hell.
The barrel toss, yeah.
Yes. That game was kicking my ass.
So why don't you have mining in your game?
Well, for the next game, could go there.
Mine of Jura.
Okay, there we go.
The Mine of Jura. There you go.
Spoiler alert, it's about psychoanalysis.
Oh my God. Okay, I love it. We're going to get dark with the second one.
Oh, man. So tell us more about the different kind of fish you could catch in this game. There's over 50 fish you could catch. What are some of the fun ones? Are there any like super rare ones?
Yeah, so the fish which was mentioned is quite rare. That's only in one specific place you can catch that, as I recall. I've not looked at the loot tables in a while, but the other two rarest ones are so there's different types of bream, and there's silver bream. So I thought I might as well put in a fictional fish, which is like a gold bream. I think that's like a 2% chance to appear in the lake. Inside information. And then in the sea, I think the rarest fish in the game is there's a fish called an error cod, and it's got like the valve.
Got that one.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, it's got like the valve like missing texture.
Dude, so good.
Kind of texture on the actual fish. So I did have a few beta testers who played the game, and one was like, "Hey, this fish has a missing texture." So I know that's the actual texture.
That's awesome. Oh my
That's
god.
awesome.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think-
Aerocod and the fish without the eye. It's I was just laughing my ass off.
Yeah,
I need
so
I need a
that's
picture of that for the image for the episode. I need
It's
to
a
see
spoiler.
that.
Out of
But
that.
it's a spoiler image. You can't just give it away. You got make people work for that shit. You got to earn it.
I'll find my screenshot, Joe. I took a screenshot of that. I'll send it to you.
Brooke, no! Don't do it!
Pernell said I can't do it. I'm sorry, Joe. It's not gonna happen.
You got to work.
I'll put
you
an
gotta work for that
SML
fish.
logo over the fish.
Thank you.
There you go.
That way no one could
Persistent.
actually see it. We'll be talking about it,
All
and they'll
censored.
know that underneath that logo there's a really rare fish, but they
SML
can't see
after
it
effort.
because Pernell refused to let
Damn
them
right.
see it.
Like I said,
Then
this
there
is our
needs to
new
be a picture of
segment.
Pernell's face over it. It's like, this is censored by Pernell.
That's the new segment, SML after effort. You can't see until you earn it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay, I
Right,
like that.
Pernell?
Fucking yeah!
That's right, Pernell.
That's it. Freaking hell.
Pernell forgets I have a sound clip of him, so he can agree with me no matter what. Right, Pernell?
Fucking yeah! I'll follow by Zach. He stole my voice. Call the cops.
It's my favorite soundbite.
Oh my god! But like, well, that's another thing I wanted to bring up too. So, like, in addition to catching the fish in the game, there are also artifacts which you can return to an individual who resides on the island. What got you to want to add the artifact collection in addition to catching the fish?
Again, it just came down to more content, really. I was looking at things I could add that would be good for players, as in more content for players, but that was also kind of fairly easily doable. The artifact system worked as a motivation for people to fish more, but also to explore, because stuff can wash up on the beach. And it also allowed me to put in a couple of Easter eggs that I wanted to put in. So there's a few Easter eggs in the game to me and my friends' music, which we do. So there's a couple of album covers. There's a reference to one of my friends who runs a record label in Oklahoma. Shout out to Alan. But yeah.
Tell us more about the record label. Shout them out. Get
So
get some visits
it's-
their way.
Yeah, it's Core Respect Records. I also run with my friend Mayor, who's, I think there's an Easter egg for him. We run a small internet record label called No Till Tapes. And me and my friends do music and stuff. And I'm doing some shows, but I'm not going to plug them directly because that's too much of a plug. Plus, one of them's in London, and I'm not sure your visitors would be able to make it for that.
And
So.
I'll bet there's a small bit of like joy to the fact that you catch fish, you catch artifacts, and yet you made sure to make it so that you can't catch like an old tire or a boot or an old used pack of cigarettes, basically implying that this island is not a trash heap. People took care of it. It's an environmentally
think about
sound island. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was inspired by, because a lot of the time here, I don't know about other beaches, but you find a lot of sea glass here on the beaches, so I thought I might as well put that in.
I kind of want to ask how many kinds of sea glass you can get so I can see if I got them all, but I also don't want to have spoilers for anybody collecting sea glass.
Well, it's up to you. Do you want to know?
Is it
It's not
3?
bad. No.
Dang it.
Double that amount.
See, 6 hours. I
Go.
got like a third of the fish. I got like not all the sea glass. There's a lot of content here, folks.
Get back to the sea. But oh mercy. But I don't know, like I honestly did find myself having enjoyment with this game. Going out fishing. Like, because there's something about fishing that I feel like no matter what game it's in, it's like most likely, or at least it should be, the most relaxing aspect to the game. Because fishing, even at its core, is essentially about patience,
Yeah.
timing, and just reaping whatever rewards you can pull off. Except with video games, you have to worry about baiting the hook and getting all that crap right and getting not. I feel like if a game ever made a fishing game and included knotting your line, I would throw it in the trash. But so like, I feel like you did a great job with it. It's honestly a great time playing this title. It's good.
We have
relaxing was the goal. So yeah,
we have a question coming from the Peanut Gallery. No Pulse is asking any chance of this coming to console, and Carnage is asking any plans to bring it to possibly Xbox through the ID at Xbox program. Have you looked into any console ports? Is that something in the possible future?
Yeah, so the game is published by CDOC LLC. We have actually had quite a few requests for we had a few requests for console, but we actually had quite a few requests for Nintendo Switch port. So I'm in discussion with them to see if we can get it there. There's more involved in getting games to other platforms than people think. Just as a disclaimer, it's not just like file export to
it's money for sure.
You just click the save as Xbox button, right?
Yeah. But we're gonna see if we can get it there, and I'll work hard to get it there if people want to. At the moment, we've been doing localization, so I added Korean language support today, actually. So there's more languages coming, and we'll see if we can get it on platforms. Yeah.
Awesome. I feel like I just learned actually just yesterday, and I might be wrong about this because it only was through talking to other people. But I think, like, for example, just getting on Steam, for as accessible as Steam is, I think they said that even for like an indie developer, they take like 30 or 40% of the cut for every sale, which I thought was like a crazy freaking number.
It's 30%, and to give an opinion on that, it's too high. It's straight up too high.
It's too high.
I think they do it simply because they have a monopoly, and they do pretty much have a monopoly.
Yes, they do, and that's why. Actually, funny you say, that's why it came up in dollar. We were talking about the monopoly of Steam. So,
yeah, I think something like 10 to 20% would be more fair. 30% is nearly a third of every sale, which especially for a low price point game in the kind of sub $10, £10 region, that's a lot of cut to take. And the thing is, like, I feel like they might be able to do something where for smaller devs who obviously don't sell as many copies, they might waive the fee, because that's not where they're making their money.
Or I was thinking like that too. Like, or if not waiving it, the thought was like have a sliding scale. Like early sales would be like 10% cut, but if you break like a certain amount, like I'm just making up a fake number because I don't know what the scale is, but like you sell 30,000 copies, it jumps to like 20%. And if you sell like 80,000 copies, it jumps to 30%, which means the more you sell, the more they ultimately end up getting. But at that point, you as a dev don't care as much because you recoup the loss that you put into it. And now you can share the wealth, essentially.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think that's a better way to go for Steam, because where they make their money is not from me selling like 100 copies of Isle of Jura. It's from them selling hundreds of thousands of copies of like Battlefield,
Elden Ring,
or Elden Ring. Yeah.
Have you looked into bringing it to Epic or Windows 10 Store? I'm not sure what cuts they take. I don't remember.
I haven't looked at those. If we get requests to do that, I might look. But I'm not sure if Epic. I'm pretty sure Epic have an exclusivity thing where they're like, oh, if you're an indie dev and you want it on our store, it's going to be an Epic exclusive or whatever. So yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah. It sucks though, but I get it. But like, I don't know.
Well, if you check the Windows 10 store, that might be a backdoor to bringing it to Xbox as well.
That's also true, but I will certainly be talking with the publisher.
Cool.
Well, I will say, I know you said your next game has yet to come. It's a ethereal product as of yet, but we're spitballing. We're having fun. I'm drunk. You want to think about stuff. If you were to talk about some other general games that you think you would like to develop, and that meaning saying like you had the resources and the time and the manpower, all that. What would be some kind of games you think you'd want to take a dive into?
Yeah, well, I have a rough concept for something I want to do next. I don't know if it's feasible. essentially, I've always wanted to make a game with combat in it. But to get combat right, there's more to it than people think. I think is generally the thing with combat. There's a lot involved in it. So I want to make a game with combat in it that's kind of a third-person brawler type thing, with some hero abilities and stuff. It would just be a single-player kind of story-driven thing. That's the general direction I want to take. But I might see if I can get a publisher to give me some money so I can make that.
If you're listening, publishers, give him money.
Yeah, I want to get some like voice actors and get like character designer and just go for it. But I need money, so we'll see.
Honestly, that would be a pretty fun thing. I feel like beat 'em ups. I agree, like they are tough. Like I've never designed one, but I have a friend who's like dipped his toe in like trying to develop like some like use like Game Maker Studio to make like some 2D brawlers. And the way he talks about it, there are definitely some trials and tribulations that go into that. So like it's rough. It can get pretty rough. But I also feel like for as complex as game development can get, you can get some of the most
wet pancakes
by making a no holds barred like beat 'em up or brawler game. So if that ends up happening, I look forward to seeing what you put out there, because maybe you can summon a coin calf. That would be pretty awesome.
Hope so. Well, this is perfect, because then if you want updates, you can follow me on Twitter at whatever my at is. I really should know that. Yeah.
You had a perfect segue.
Follow at the SML podcast. We'll tell you where to follow.
At EM Game Dev, there it is, yeah. If you want updates on my stuff.
So at EM Game Dev. Okay. I mean, don't mind if
Pernell's writing it down.
Oh no, I'm gonna get it from you when you put it up on the site.
There you go.
I mean, check Twitter now. I already tagged you.
I'm not at home.
He's on the streets drunk out of his mind right now.
I'm at a Wendy's bathroom right now. You think I got time to be writing down links?
In a Wendy's bathroom.
You know how hard it is to find a Wendy's, let alone a clean bathroom?
Oh, Jesus. So, Ewan, anything you want to talk about with the game that we didn't bring up? Actually, I wanted to ask, the music in the game is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us more about the music.
Yeah, so that was done by two very talented people. One of them is a close friend who's on our record label. He's called Dr. Plechter. He's from Norway.
That's a good name.
But yeah, super talented guy. He's just released a new album with us with an accompanying energy drink as well. So if you like rare energy drinks, check that out. The other song, he did the credits theme. And then the main island theme and Plechter did the credits theme and the trailer theme. The main island theme, which you hear when you're walking about, is done by a guy called Spencer Bordnick. But yeah, he was a friend of a friend. He's an acoustic guitarist, and he was able to capture the kind of relaxing, just very simple background music that gives the relaxing feeling, but doesn't get in the way of the gameplay.
That's something I definitely noticed while I was playing the game, is just I could set the controller down and just sit and listen. And that's what I loved about Animal Crossing, is the music, the simplicity. You could just sit and just listen and enjoy it. And I thought Isle of Jura had music you could just sit and listen to and enjoy. And it's just really good stuff.
The Beats of Jura.
Yeah, need a remix album. The Beats of Jura.
I was going to mention, I think Spencer put some of the music from the game up on his Bandcamp recently.
Cool.
So yeah, you can search for that.
Awesome. We will get a link and throw that down in the description. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about that we didn't bring up?
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone for playing. I mean, it's my first project. It's gone, decently well. I was actually able to make and finish a product that works, which is like 9/10 of the battle.
Yeah.
There's I think there's some rough statistic of all the people who kind of say, I'm going to make a game, and then they come up with the concepts and they do it. Like, most people never even finish, let alone like release it and have it be bug free mostly. So I was just glad to finish and hit my goal of copies sold and see people, I think we had a
Oh wait, rewind! You just said something new. You just said something we didn't even realize. So you hit your goal of the number of copies you were hoping to sell.
Originally I had a goal of 100 copies, and we hit that in the first few days. So that was
gosh!
Nice.
Congrats!
Congratulations!
Awesome.
Awesome.
But we've got about 30 something reviews on the Steam, and
I saw that this
I think
morning.
it's 36 reviews, and like 34 of those are positive. So I was very pleased that people are enjoying it. You know, I like to. There's a bunch of Twitch streamers playing it. I like to hop into the streams and see people playing the game. It's very rewarding. So yeah, just thanks for everyone for playing. It's been
anything cool happen in any streams that you jumped in? Any fun stories?
One person, I think the funniest thing is just watching how the RNG goes sometimes. So you'll see people fish, and sometimes they will only get trouts like 10 times in a row. There's one person who, with the net, I think the crab has about a 10% chance to appear, and they got like 4 in a row and could instantly buy the next fishing rod straight away.
Ooh, nice.
So it was quite funny watching those. But yeah, I think there was also one time a bug appeared on stream, so I asked them to see if they could do it again in the chat, and then went to fix it the same day. So that was also good.
Nice. That's actually good to come across the bug in post. So you're like, okay, well now we can actually try to recreate it because we can see it play out and not have to just be told on a review, this game crashes. How does it crash? It crashes.
Yeah, but tell me how it crashes, and then I will fix it. Oh, well, that's cool.
I was very thankful that all of the bugs that people had were not like hard crashes, and they were not like really heavy problems with the systems. They were just like very light things, or like, you know, typos in fish descriptions or something. It was just nice, easy fixes. It was nothing super ingrained that was broken. So that was good.
Nice. Well, give us the sales pitch one more time. Tell us where we can get the game. How much is it? All the info that we need for Isle of Jura.
So Isle of Jura is available on Steam right now. It will be, spoiler, it might have a discount during the summer sale. Ooh. But don't wait for that, because that's quite a while away. Yeah, it's February. It's on Steam. You can buy it now. It's $4.99, and if you're in Britain land, it's £3.99. And it's available in multiple languages. We got Turkish, we got Korean, we got Chinese, we got Italian, we got loads of different languages.
So cool.
And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter for updates. If you have any bugs, please send them to me. If you have any requests, like a Switch port or new languages, send them to me, and I can ask the publisher for support on that.
Everyone in our chat is demanding an Xbox port, so there's you've got some support behind you for that version.
This is just man slamming the emphasis on. They're demanding it.
The people want it, damn it. No. Ewan, it's been awesome having you on the show chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, we are going to take a break. We are going to listen to some music, and we will be back with more show. Everybody stick around. No one go anywhere. Anyone, because we got reviews to do, and
one more.
Pernell's drunk.
I was giving you background music to the statement. That's how catch you.
Ewan, do you have any final words to end the interview?
Not really, but if you do play my game, I very much appreciate it, and please wait for my next title. I will try my best to make another one.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hi.
Greetings.
So I like that Brooke answers first with hello, as if we've interrupted her dinner.
Well, you are, and
Really
it's-
offended.
Yeah, how dare you? This is like the one thing I need today.
Ring. What?
What is it?
Hello. What? Jesus Christ.
Who uses the phone anymore?
Dude, I like that arguably my oldest friend in the world too, Chris. Like, will hear my voice totally differently than how I hear. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like get into the friendly, bubbly zone, and then that's how it's. You guys are like, it's just I'm
You're
trying.
gonna sound super happy and pleasant. You sound like a bitch, Brooke.
Resting bitch voice. That's my new screen name.
It's just more like it's inquisitive. It's like, who's calling?
Hello. I'm gonna start answering it like a granny.
Back to the world. where
Hello.
Throw on treat. A world where money is no object. You've entered the bubbly happy zone.
Who are you? Are you my grandson?
Yes. Give me some money.
Here's a nickel.
Broke bitch.
That's enough for some taffy.
Hey, I'll eat some taffy. I'm a sucker for that.
One taffy.
My boss goes to the beach on a regular basis during the summer, and of course, I never get to go to the beach. I just never make the time. But I generally feel a little bit better about it because she always brings me back a box of saltwater taffy. It's like, okay, I don't get to enjoy the sunshine and the water, but I'm gonna get my teeth gummed up. It's worth it. I'll take it. Give me. Also, I have to pay for it, so all the better. Because taffy ain't cheap.
We have a state fair that comes around once a year, the Bloomsburg Fair. It's like the biggest state fair in Pennsylvania, some bullshit like that. Every year I have to get a box of saltwater taffy.
That's a question I think about. How long of a drive would it be for you, like if you and the missus want to take a hit to the beach for like a day? Like a day trip to like Ocean City?
I don't know, 3-4 hours?
That long? Shit. I guess that makes sense because it's like a 2 hours for me to get to you, and it's about an hour for me to get to the beach. I can kind of see that. But I kind of assume maybe you'd have some kind of like better.
What, you could see that? What do you think he's lying? What the?
That sounds plausible to me.
Pernell over here. I'm like, I don't know. Your story seems to check out.
I'm just saying. I'm thinking about it in a way where I'm like, I gotta process it in my dome space, Because
Pernell, are you inviting me to a beach date?
Just come out and say it, man.
Are you bringing this? Are you buying the saltwater taffy?
For myself.
Oh, taffy.
Cold as ice.
I mean, fuck, it's my taffy. I want to eat it. By the way, yeah, we're back. PartyCast is going on. Everyone is here, and Tim came and joined us. Tim, how are you doing?
Good. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, I just made fun of Pernell.
Yeah.
That's weird. Oh, everybody else was here before. Okay, now.
Yeah,
All right.
we had the interview. We were here talking about the Isle of Jura. Big thanks to Ewan for coming on and putting up with us.
Got me confused. Like, wait, is he not hearing me on this call? Did I mute my mic again? Is Pernell somehow responding to voices inside of his head?
Well,
yes to all.
Until I sleep. That's when they tell me to do things.
Wow.
So, Pernell, are you sober?
Yeah, I am very much sober.
Very direct.
Though, because I'm feeling the effects of my exercise today, but I think that's going to be the future from now on.
Well, Pernell was having fun during the interview, which I loved, by the way. I loved hearing you just loose and chatty. You were fun.
Oh, shucks. Now tell your city lady friends the same thing. This guy I know, Joker's loose and chatty. But he broke. So keep that in mind. Because I drink this overpriced hop tea, which, by the way, if you guys have never had it, you need to get some.
Pernell, you know what I'm drinking.
Yeah, that Sparkle Starlight.
Ooh, is that good?
Coca-Cola Starlight. It is, quote, space flavored.
So yeah, I just learned about this. How is that translating taste-wise? How are you liking that?
I was told it's raspberry mint, which it tastes like that, and I think it's really good, actually.
Is it cold, empty, and horrifying like space?
Just like my soul.
In space. I had it earlier today. Did not taste raspberry mint. I didn't taste anything of the sort.
Oh, wow.
But to answer your question, though, the hop tea is what I drank originally. I was already a fan of it, but I originally got into it when I was originally kind of getting off beers and stuff because it's a hoppy tea drink. So it's brewed like a beer, but without the calories and the alcoholic content. So it surprisingly scratches the itch of I want a beer, only you don't get drunk from it and you don't get the crazy calories from it.
I have to limit my alcohol too due to a medical issue, sadly. So I feel that way about kombucha. I love sour beer is my favorite beer, so I kind of get that itch scratch sometimes with kombucha. Now every once in a while I have a couple special occasion like last week. Bless you.
In that case, you might want to look into hop tea. You might like it.
Yeah. My ears are perking up at this. This is my kind of. I'm gonna pick your brain about this later.
If I remember where you live at exactly, you probably have Whole Foods out your way. In fact, I'm almost positive you do. So, go check there because you can order it online. But I first started buying it from Whole Foods, and the price is exactly the same. Believe it or not.
Cool. Oh, all right.
You fancy people with your Whole Foods.
I have one, and I got to drive 30, 40 minutes to get there, but it was worth it to get this stuff. So
we have a CVS, and we're lucky.
There's a Whole Foods in the back. You got another password, though.
We actually have $2 Generals for some reason.
They formed to become a Dollar General?
You have two buildings that say Dollar General, or you have a building that says $2 General?
We have two buildings that are labeled Dollar General and are of the same company.
I was going to say Dollar General's even getting affected by inflation. Now it's $2 General.
General.
I remember being from a small town where there's nothing except $2 Generals for some reason. And then 4 fast food restaurants and that's it. Food Lion, if anybody remembers that.
Oh, I don't know. Not only do I remember, it's
small
still
town.
here.
Fast food restaurants?
Yeah, I guess maybe medium small.
Man, these weird Audible ads are getting on my nerves. I just got one for a book called The Lightning Fart.
What?
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
I don't even know where they come from anymore with this shit. It's just
here's a better question. Why are you listening to Audible during the show?
Got to multitask.
Get an ad that pops up in my email for it. Or sometimes I think ads for Audible, just shit like that. So it's hey, bro, here, you want to read about some kid and his magic lightning fart? Entertainment. I don't know. The world's strange. 4 fast food restaurants in one town is a luxury, as far as I'm concerned. Just lost my damn Checkers to Rats or wherever the hell poisons Checkers restaurants these days.
No, you lost Checkers?
So sorry, dude.
And honestly, on one hand, it's a question of should I be sad or not? Because on one hand, I lost my Checkers. On the other hand, it was lost due to likely health code violations. So if it stayed open,
if it stayed open, you would be getting their fries right now.
I would be because I could walk to that one. No, I can't.
You sound like Aki. That's where she is going. Right now, she's going to rallies to get food.
I was about to say.
Well, the thing about it is now that you can buy their fries at the grocery store when the freaking supply chain isn't borked, which somehow it still is, you can just buy bags of rally fries now.
Yeah, and they are not as good as fresh Rally's fries, but they scratch that itch.
Yeah, and surprisingly healthier if you air fry them or put them in the oven.
Yeah, I've been air frying those bad boys. I was eating those literally the SML on Thursday last week. I was in the Twitch chat just slamming my frozen Rally's fries. It was awesome.
Well, I hope you cooked them first.
Nope, they were frozen, just crunching them down.
That's like when people yell at me for eating freaking sunflower seeds without peeling them.
Oh, whoa, you can eat them without peeling them.
No, you can't. But I do it anyway. That's supposed to.
I eat my kiwis without peeling them, and everybody treats me like I'm crazy. And they may not be wrong, but I say you can eat the kiwi with that fur all over it.
I say less waste. You're not that person spitting kiwi wrap on the street while you're walking around.
Pernell's backing me up here. Thank you, Pernell.
I don't get to enjoy anything kiwi because Ashley's allergic to kiwi.
Oof.
No, you got that thing where you go to a back alley eating it behind a dumpster like kiwi.
Yeah, it's like how Pernell was like, "Oh, I don't give a fuck if I have a peanut allergy. I'm going to eat peanut butter all the time." She can't touch kiwi. If it touches her skin, she gets rashes.
Oh, it's it's like a heavy one.
No, it's not fun. So,
Right.
So yeah, Tim, how was your week?
Yeah, Elden Ring came out, so that's what I achieved playing 10 hours of it in one day. That was that's very big for me. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to start playing.
Yes.
By the time we were watching Rampage that night, I was weary. Yeah, that's basically what I did for 3 days as best I could. Is I played Elden Ring, and anything before that might as well not have happened in my life, I guess. I don't know. Nothing noteworthy.
Life didn't matter before then.
Life didn't matter before Elden Ring. Well, I don't know. What do you want to hear about me getting my cars inspected? Ooh. Oh, man. I went into work one day. Oh, man. I thought you had a snake for a second there. I got the stream out the corner of my eye. It was just the tail. I was like, fuck you, Joe.
Coltrane up on my chair demanding attention.
It's like, I fixed my dryer. Whoa.
That's pretty cool.
What was wrong with your
I
dryer?
had a guy come fix it because I couldn't
You played a lot of Elden Soul. You played a lot of Elden Ring, so I mean that probably gave you the skills required to fix that dryer.
No. Well, now I could fix the dryer because I know how to get that motherfucking bottom panel off.
Nice.
First, you got to get past, the King of Ash. Use that.
You have to have the proper tool, and you have to use it in the proper place to find the hidden wall to get into where the goddamn belt is in your dryer that's making so much fucking noise.
While outwitting that nefarious dung eater.
Yes.
By the way, I gotta ask, what is it about this whole community that somehow just latched on to that statement in the open deck and just runs with it? The nefarious dung eater.
I mean, people in the Souls community have like the sense of humor of a freaking 10-year-old. So like, which is fine and it's great and it's lovely.
Try finger butthole.
Yes.
It's the biggest Elden Ring meme at the moment.
There's one that I said, oh God, where the hell was, I don't know where the one is that I just shared with my homies. That was something about, behold, two-handing. But that one's more of a visual gag.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's some, yeah, it's just, I mean, and that goes back to my first experience playing Demon Souls back in 2009, where one of the first messages I read was on the floor in front of the Maiden in Black, and it said, "Need sticky white stuff."
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's the Souls.
These are my people. Yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'll get a good chuckle out. Like it's like literally unacceptably immature chuckling while you're playing. It's like I just got my ass handed to me by a pack of ravenous dogs. Oh, look, a white message. Maybe that will help me. Insert finger butthole. Oh well, there you go. That feels good. That made it all better.
It really hits better when they're clever about it. Like. About combining the words and in the proper place.
My favorite permutation of that meme is that it'll show like one of those messages like try finger butthole, and then it just shows like George R.R. Martin like writing it down.
Yes, all written by George R.R. Martin.
Those are the parts that he wrote.
Yes, he wrote all the messages.
Well, he had to earn his pay somehow, right?
Good Lord. How is the game? We're not reviewing that one, so I might as well just ask you outright. How is it?
Oh, it's incredible! It's like one of the best games ever made. Well,
the
best games that I've ever played. I
will say it was interesting because, like, you likely saw this firsthand, Joe. Like, a friend in the game group asked a question about it. He was like, "What makes this game so different from any other open world game?" And the only response I could give him was like, "You don't like Dark Souls, you're not going to care. Like, don't even ask the question if you don't." Well, the thing is, like, that's the thing. Like, I've gotten to the habit lately where I'm not going to be the guy that says, "Oh, this will change your mind about this franchise." Give it a go. Like, I'd rather they do it on their own. I don't want to be the guy that tells them to try. So
I will say this is the first one I've been like actually interested in playing, having not played any Dark Souls prior. So. Oh
yeah, it has. If I'm being like open and clear about it, there are definite improvements and things that could make someone who didn't like the game in the past interested now. But the problem is, if the person's general disinterest comes from the difficulty alone, yeah, there are ways around it. Like, for example, everybody complains about the first boss, Margrave, or whatever the hell his name is.
Margaret.
Yep. Margaret. And the thing is, like, the first time I fought him, I was in someone else's game. We were just running through that castle. I was like, oh, crap, this dude is beating our asses. I see people hitting them. Fucking like, barely chipping damage. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back here. And the moment I went back to my game, I was like, going another direction. I'm not going in there.
Fucking yeah.
Exploring and just doing random stuff. Yeah, I get my ass beat sometimes.
Fucking yeah.
There's a lot of things that they use to mitigate the losses that come from getting hit or getting killed. Like, soul loss doesn't even feel like a thing anymore in a lot of respects. But
it never was.
Well, if you joined a lot of other people's games, yeah. But I was always the type of person where I was like, I didn't really do that much. But my friend got me into the habit of doing it now. But in a sense, like even outside of joining other people's games, though, like I lost on the edge of a cliff. I had like 9,000 souls, and I was like, it won't be hard to get back over there. I can just run around the side or dodge things. Not a big deal. But enough of that part. What I meant to say in a sense was that I got into the habit though where like some people are just really locked onto just it's difficult. And when it comes down to that, I can't go into they added these things like now they added more checkpoints as far as like getting back to bosses that killed you, or they made it so it's easier to get summoned in the games because they have like places that they kind of congregate all the summon signs now in different areas. You don't have to worry about being summoned in the middle of nowhere. Like all these different things, but it doesn't matter if the person will come back and say, but the game's too hard. I'm like, well, I don't have to fucking tell you. Play a different game. But in my sense, though, personally, I think the game is a breath of fresh air. Like my friend Matt has been like geeked about this game for months. Like he was in all the demos and all that. I'm like, I'll get around to it, I'm sure, when the game comes out or whatever. And I had like, 1,600 left at Target. So I was like, I should use some of it on a cool game. I would do that. So I ended up buying it when all my friends did. And
decided to boot it up. 1,600 left at Target?
Yeah. You know about the racket I was running for like 5 years.
But still, like, goddamn.
I don't. I want to hear about the racket.
It's a good racket.
So there was a thing that they used to do where you could buy gift cards like once a year. They would say, hey, for one day only, you can buy gift cards at 10% off. So you buy as much money as you can put on it up to a max of $500 and you got a 10% discount. So essentially $50 off of 500. Now, if you're already planning to go to Target for general purposes, it's not going to hurt to just buy it because you'll just spend the money later on things you were going to buy like groceries or like home apparel or whatever. So every year I would buy the max amount of money. But in addition to that, when I would go in, I would also buy a card using the previous card. So you go in there on the 10% discount day, take the card that if you didn't spend all the money, you take the previous card back, buy a new gift card with the old gift card. So you take discounted money to buy discounted
That's
money.
illegal in New York State. Continue.
I'm writing this shit down, by the way.
Because it basically it stacked up because the first year didn't mean much. It was like, got one gift card. Now I'm going to go back and buy a new gift card, but then also buy a gift card using the old gift card. Okay, bam. And I have like a $50 surplus from the previous card plus the new card. But then the next year I do it with both previous cards, then buy a new card. And the next year I do it with all three previous cards, then with a new card. And then every time I had that extra money, I'd spend the extra money for myself that Christmas. Like, hey, I just got like a couple extra sets of $50. And before they finally caught on and stopped letting people do it, I was getting like $250 extra money every Christmas just to have it.
Awesome.
So let's take a vote. Who says I should delete all of that incriminating evidence? And
No. It was all above board.
It was above board. They eventually said we're not going to let this happen anymore. I went there one day. I was like, I want to buy a gift card, please. It was like invalid purchase method. Like, fuck, they figured it out. But it worked for a while, and it was like the first time it happened, it was like me going, let's see. There's no way this could work because they would block this out. It was like, here you go. I was like, holy shit, they did it. And the worst part about it, I told people at my job about it one day, and they were like, that feels like too much work. I'm like, how does it work? It's literally buy a thing and then buy another thing later. Like, how does that work? I don't know. This is too much work for me. It's like, I'm sorry, you don't like getting free fucking money. I don't know what to tell you. And then they were like, but why don't you just put it in the bank? I'm like, because unless you're playing the stock market, nothing's returning 10% right now. Literally. No savings account, no CD, nothing's returning 10%. Period. Only stocks. So to me,
and Target.
at Target, if I'm already going there, I got stock. I actually have stock investments at Target. So it's like I'm already knee deep in the muck. If I'm going to Target anyway, this is literally the best investment option I got right now, which is fucking sad. But welcome to the 2020s. Whatever.
Wow. Oh my God. I loved all that. And I loved that like 2 weeks ago, I was getting credit advice from Pernell, and he had like a different Target racket. He was telling me about how you would get like all these points with this Target. I was like, man, I'm thinking about closing my Target card. He's like, oh, mercy, don't be closing that. This is how you do it. And he gave me like some awesome tips. This is some serious combo and out shit. I really enjoyed all of that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because like think about it, like credit is not something to be afraid of. Like, and I say that as a person who, when I was young, I had like a good 10,000 in debt in my early 20s, like 20 or 21. I was like,
yeah,
$10,000. I was like, well, fuck me, I screwed up. And I slowly paid it all back. And when I was done, I was like, time to cancel all my credit cards. And I was like, wait a minute, why would I do that? Now I'm in the position where I can succeed on this. So the goal is to use all their perks and benefits, but never pay interest to them, which means essentially you're literally getting free things. And the only thing that you have to do to maintain it is to not go overboard with your spending, which means being responsible, which after taking a $10,000 debt, you learn to be responsible very fucking fast.
Yeah.
Speaking of not being responsible, shout out to Carnage for subbing.
Oh, I saw
his
that.
19th month. Thank you for being irresponsible with your money in our channel.
Now that's an investment I can respect.
Yeah,
hey, you get some awesome emotes. I'm pretty proud of the emotes that we have in our channel right now. We have like 8 cat emotes, 2 Norg emotes. There's just a lot of emotes going on.
10 days of emotes.
Something
8
like that.
Buzzing cat, 7 wacky dog, 6 buzzing flies.
Speaking of a lot of things, there are a lot of reviews that we got to take care of tonight. Should we get into these?
Sure.
Okay. I really love the Target shit, though. I'm not being sarcastic. I know it's not easy to tell with my voice, but I love it. It's so good.
Depends. Chris, you're our Brookeometer. How is she feeling now?
I say she is being very sincere.
There you have it, folks. Stop.
Thank
But
you,
am
Chris.
I being sarcastic?
Damn it.
Understand, Chris. You register Chris right there.
Okay, so first game to talk about tonight is called Shadow Warrior 3, developed by Flying Wild Hog, published by Devolver Digital, released March 1st on Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, and PC for $49.99. Also available as part of PlayStation Now until July 4th. Lo Wang is armed with an absurd arsenal, a tongue sharper than any demon's claws, and a new grappling hook for pulling off extra fancy kills. Our foul-mouthed Terra must defy all odds of survival to recapture the ancient dragon, keen on fucking things up, cracking jokes, and slaying monstrosities along the way in an action-packed, masterful campaign, paying tribute to the classic linear shooter. Pernell, tell us about your time with Shadow Warrior 3.
Wow, I'm glad the description said that, because that means I don't have to point out the fact that one thing I end up really enjoying about this game, though, in a number of respects people might dislike it, is the fact that it was extremely linear. Like, the main focus on this game is basically getting from point A to point B and blowing everything up when you get there. For context purposes, for folks listening, I've never played Shadow Warrior 1, nor did I ever play Shadow Warrior 2. Shadow Warrior 3 starts off apparently right after Shadow Warrior 2. They explain some things. I understand much of any of it. It was essentially he let a dragon out for some reason. The dragon destroyed the world, and now him and apparently his arch nemesis from previous games are working together to defeat the dragon and set things right. And in the process of that, they're telling a lot of wacky jokes, and I'm okay with that. So as you're going to the game, it starts out on the back of a dragon, and they immediately kind of throw you into like the pacing of how the game works. You're running along, like like one of those Chinese dragons where just like one really long back with the scales hanging up. But in this case, it's also kind of crystallish. You're running from the back of the dragon to the front. So that gives you an idea to understand the fact that the game generally puts you on like these like interesting corridors that involve platforming challenges by use of things like a double jump, air dash, and vine climbs and vine running, and wall running too. As you're doing these things, you're pretty much getting around boss from point A to point B until you get to an arena. And at these arenas, you get engaged. You pretty much engage with a pretty cool roster types of monsters, like monsters, demons, yokai, I don't really recall much of anything human, which is okay because it's a shadow warrior, not, people warrior. And so once this happens, you're pretty much thrown right into the fray. The pacing is pretty freaking fast. My computer could handle it. Holy shit. And you are pretty much made with the arena to get things done. Now, the thing I like about this game is that the combat reminded me of a game I used to play back in the day on Dreamcast called MADMAN X. It's first person, and it involves having like a sword for melee combat. Now, when you're running up on enemies, you push the trigger button, and you're pretty much like slashing with your sword. And the sword does legit damage. You're not chipping at anything. You could take damage in the process because, of course, you're up close and personal with these guys. But you use the sword, you can kill them. But in addition to that, you also get a variety of guns. You start out with one, but then you get others as the game progresses. And you can use the guns to kill guys from a distance. Now, here's where it gets pretty cool about this.
Is that what guns do?
No, guns heal. So you can use the gun in this game. Like if you kill enemies from a distance with the gun, they actually drop health power-ups or health pickups. So they incentivize you to go back and forth between using the weapon, like the sword weapon, and the different gun weapons you get. They bounce between the two. And then later on, you can actually upgrade your character to... Actually, I'll go to that in a second. So after you pretty much kill things using the guns or your sword, you'll open whatever gate's there and you'll progress. As you're running through the level, you'll eventually come across these orb items, too. Orb items can constitute upgrades for one of two things, or three things. No, two things. One is Lo Wang himself. You can use orbs to upgrade his personal attributes like additional health, or you can upgrade something he has called a Chi Blast, which is basically pushing enemies away from him and doing damage, and just things like that. And the other upgrade type is for his different weapons. Every weapon, being one of the either the sword or one of like the 6 guns he gets, can get up to 3 different upgrades to it, such as increased ammo or different firing bonuses or attributes to that. Not alternate fire modes, unfortunately, but just like better like aspects to the gun's usage. You can spend orbs on those things. One of the cool attributes, the thing I pretty much would recommend you get almost immediately, is there's one that allows you to get ammo pickups when you kill enemies with the sword. And what that ends up doing is it kind of has this cool juxtaposition because, the game by default has various ammo pickup stations that'll show up in some of the arenas, and they may or may not recharge depending. But if you have this power-up that lets you get ammo from killing enemies with swords, that means you get a benefit for killing guys with swords, and there's a benefit for killing people with guns. So no matter what you do, you're getting rewarded for it and pressing onward like a badass. Shortly into the game, they also give you a grappling hook, which adds a little bit of added frenetic pacing to the game because it not only allows you to grab on specific objects to swing around, which adds a little bit of extra spice to the arenas, but you can also use the grappling hook to pull yourself towards enemies. Usually you have to pull enemies towards you with a grappling hook, but in this game they say, nah, you're going to them, which when you really think about it, that's a really weird dynamic. You pull the cord and you go the other direction. It's like, wait, this doesn't make sense. But from the scope of gameplay, it's a lot of fun. So like you might grapple hook somebody, slide into them, and it's like get the sword ready and it's like stab them open. I even mentioned one other type of kill in this game that is just like one major mechanic to the combat, which is they're like finisher moves. So there's a gauge you get that when you get, there's like yellow pickups generally. And you max this gauge out, you can walk up to certain enemies, press both bumper buttons, and you'll do a finisher execution. Now,
and those are fucking cool.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And the thing about it is, like in a lot of games, like for example, Doom, it would be crazy kill, and you get some health or ammo, which would be fine if that's how this game did it. But it actually goes a little bit farther and makes it a bit dynamic. Every enemy, when you perform an execution kill, provides its own benefit. Some enemies give you a unique weapon that you can use temporarily for that scenario, such as one of the early ones that's kind of like, oh, shut up. Like you basically beat the crap out of an ogre, rip his arm off, and then start smashing his head with his own arm, and then use the arm to fight other guys until it breaks. But the oddest thing about it is, like, even though they have these cool attacks that you can get, my favorite one was just the thing where you crushed the guy's head and got your health doubled. Like I would just look for that enemy in combat. Like, I need health. Crush his face. Give me that hit point back. Okay, I'm ready to get back into the fray. But it's interesting because throughout this game, like this is one of those scenarios where you want to play this game? I'm like, I've never played Shadow Warrior 1 or 2. I'm not the biggest FPS guy. Not saying I dislike them because I love me some Doom, but like I generally don't jump on them. And I came away from this game very pleased. Like it doesn't take itself seriously. The jokes, they're not witty. They're pretty toilet humor and goofy, but
it's the guy's name is Lo Wang. I mean, it's dick jokes abound.
Oh yeah, and I'm fine with that. I played the game with
Lil
the freaking
Wayne.
Shadow back in the day, and that game was all about potty humor too. Like it ends up working. It's all the package is nice, and the levels you go to are generally, even the darker cave levels and stuff, they're fairly colorful places. Like for a world that's on the brink of destruction, this place is lit.
And it's a good looking game too. I know you were playing on your laptop. I was playing on a Series X, and holy shit, this was a gorgeous game.
Yes, it is. Like it's beautiful. Exploring the environment. Sometimes it almost makes you wish you could divert off the beaten path. Sometimes you kind of can, but only enough to be like, hey, I see a Buddha statue over there. There's a hidden orb. I'll grab it, and then you get right back on the road. But the only reason I would say that is because it'd be nice to be like, hey, I can go explore this beautiful environment. But at the end of the day, it also just allows me to just get from point A to point B, get some action, and then move on because I got enough open world shit going on right now. Give me something I can just. That's the problem with things nowadays. Everything requires open world access, and you can't complete anything because it takes 500 hours to accomplish shit. This game is not a 500-hour game. This is a short game, which is good because I need shorter in my life, not longer.
Yeah, I think they say this is like an 8-hour experience, start to finish, something like that.
Yeah, this is not so much low wang as it is a short game. I don't know. I tried to low wang it with a short penis joke, but in the end, I just came away with game is short. It's still cool. It's not the length of the game, how they use it.
That was good.
Thank you, kindly.
No,
Not the length, it's the girth.
There you go. Right.
Slow way. You're welcome, Devolver. We care. We understand the process here on SML. Ultimately, I think this game is worth every penny. Like I came into this feeling. I went into it feeling going from being like, I'm not sure what I'm getting into to walking away going, this was a great time. I enjoyed every bit of this. I recommend this to other people. I feel as though if you're okay with toilet humor, if you like frenetic pacing, you're going to have a great time here. And if you feel as though it might be too difficult, it does have difficulty options. So essentially, you can kind of come in this game in like a sort of God mode sort of state if you feel like it. I played on normal, of course. I didn't want to go extra hard because I'm not the best at FPS games. So I want to actually, get through the game for the extra dialogue today. So, but it's a good time. The
game is $50. What is your official verdict?
I'd say it's a genuine buy. Worth your time, worth your money, worth your chuckles.
Something to keep an eye out on when they were doing a pre-order for it. They were actually including the first 2 games with the pre-order. I don't know if they plan on doing that bundle again in the future, but that might be something to keep your eyes on if you haven't played anything in the series yet.
That looks like you're high.
And if you're a PlayStation Now subscriber, it's part of the package for the next couple of months, so give it a go.
It's short enough so you can get in and get out, and then get back to Elden Ring.
Speaking of Elden Ring, I am so fucking pissed off at Best Buy. I ordered the digital version of the game, which comes with a steelbook. I get the steelbook yesterday, and it is crushed. Like, it is flattened. I am fucking furious. We drove an hour up to the store today to exchange it. There are none available anywhere.
I was about to say I think someone else had that experience, but I think that same person was you, because I remember the hour-long drive to exchange it by comment too. That must have been you also. But that's the question I was going to ask, though, is that you got it digitally, right? So what would you do with the steelbook?
Put it on a shelf and look at it.
Oh, touche.
Same thing I do with a whole bunch of other steelbooks.
I hear that.
I'm going to do the same thing with Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise.
Are you getting that?
I would like to. It comes out on my birthday, so I figure I would treat myself.
Happy birthday.
I know. I can't wait.
It's not his fucking birthday. Not yet.
Tim is so mad right now. He's so mad at you.
Speaking of Final Fantasy.
Check that. Oh.
See what I did there? Next game.
Nice host segue.
I try.
Speaking of birthdays, do you want to know who I share a birthday with?
Sure.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Cool.
Not
I shared
only-
one with. Oh, sorry. Good.
Not only the same day, but I mean, not only the same like calendar date, but also the same day. We were born at the exact same time.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there you go.
So that's why he's Little Wayne. You stole the other part of it.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. We never knew until now.
I took the guitar skills.
Could have just been Wayne.
He took everything else.
We've been talking about Lil Wayne in the Twitch chat is the context that might be missing a little bit here. I share a birthday with Ludacris. We both were born on 9/11, so there you go.
Nice.
Wow.
We're all September baby.
Never forget.
You were
Wow.
born on, God,
Yeah,
I'm
and-
old. Born on September 11th, like
Well,
the
not
day.
2001.
Oh, God, so yeah, I mean, think of like, how old am I? Jesus.
She did have one of her birthdays ruined.
You know, we don't forget that birthday either, but it was cool.
You share a birthday with
Anyway, next game to talk about is Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, developed and published by Square Enix, code provided to us by Square Enix. Consider this sponsored content, whatever you got to say. Released February 23rd on Steam for $17.99. The original Final Fantasy VI comes to life with completely new graphics and audio, a remodeled 2D take on the sixth game in the world-renowned Final Fantasy series. Enjoy the timeless story told through charming retro graphics. Tim, tell us about your time with Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster.
Now, to be clear, they're paying us to talk about it, not to say nice things about it.
Yeah.
But
but we're talking about one of the greatest games in existence, so I have a hard time thinking that they could fuck that up.
Yeah, and you'd be correct. They didn't fuck it up. They didn't even really mess with it that drastically, I guess I would say. I will speak to this game as if you have never heard of Final Fantasy VI or know anything about what it's about. I mean, the game is tragically almost 30 years old at this point.
It's true.
We all feel so much older right now.
Yeah, originally came out as Final Fantasy III in the US, widely regarded by many sane folks as the best Final Fantasy game ever, me being one of them.
Correct.
Yeah, so it is a story. This is back when Final Fantasy games still had some roots in fantasy, though, to be fair, they were, I mean, there was a giant mechanical tower in 4, and there was a flying, cyber fortress in the first one, too. So, but at its heart, it's like, you're going to castles and there's knights and you're whacking things with swords and there's magic. But, the airships are like boats with propellers at this point. They're not like these crazy, they're not spaceships, I guess I should say. You're traversing the land on your feet, not in a fucking car, like the most recent edition. But yeah, it is a fully pixel game. Of course, this is the Pixel Remaster. You start the game out as this girl Terra, or whatever you want to name her, because in the pre-voice acting days, you could just name characters whatever you wanted to, and who cares? Who cares? Terra, who is who does not remember shit about where she's from, amnesia, classic RPG trope. She's kind of a puppet of this empire that you kind of infer to be evil, who escapes their grasp very quickly, and is spirited away by a treasure hunter named Locke, who is in league with a resistance group. And through that journey, she meets many other characters. One of the key parts of this game is it has a very large and diverse cast of 14 characters total, who are each unique and have their own distinct ability that makes them stand out from the rest of the cast. Though magic is a huge part of this game, and everybody can learn every spell in the game with enough time and effort put into it. But yeah, pretty much once you get all these characters together, you're pretty free. I mean, there are parts where the game will lock certain characters into your party, but you have a lot of freedom for customizing who you want in the party at any given time, and their abilities range from like being the Edgar, the king of Figaro, has tools at his disposal which are super useful for just doing a lot of damage and other things for free. His brother, you put in Street Fighter-ish maneuvers on the D-pad to do martial arts moves, which includes like, shooting a laser fireball thing and suplexing things, perhaps a train. There's a ninja who throws things. There's a samurai who has sword arts. There's a girl who paints. There's a Yeti who you don't control at all. There's a mime who copies everybody. Those last two are secret, spoilers. There's a Moogle who dances. There's tons of different stuff. Yeah. And fun stuff to mess around with. And the story is fantastic and has a great, big kind of twist in the middle. You are, of course, fighting against this empire, and kind of the face of the empire ends up being this psycho clown named Kefka. And you're trying to push out against them and topple the empire, and things go a certain way. And then the world becomes a dismal place. And but
start Act 2.
Yeah, there's really some really great stories that are told within this game under the overarching, story of saving the world, and some just cool writing and great characters under all that. And a big world to explore with like tons of secrets and lots of freedom in the back half of the game to just kind of go anywhere and do whatever you want. Really just incredibly open.
Like when someone says Final Fantasy to me, my mind thinks of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is Final Fantasy in my eyes.
Sure. Yeah. And it's my favorite. But anyway, this is the Pixel Remaster. This is the last of the Pixel Remaster series, at least as it has been advertised. And like, looking at it, just like starting up the game and looking at it, like it's not as obvious that there's a difference in what they did with this game, just because I think the other games, especially the NES ones, like you shine up those pixels and those sprites and you're going to notice because you're coming from NES graphics. But like Final Fantasy VI already looked really good. It's a late gen Super Nintendo game, and the pixels or the character sprites, the pixel art was already like super detailed. And it's more of a light touch. Like they redid all the main characters, and they just kind of look smoother. They don't look as much like, I don't know, Flash animation cells as like the phone remake from, a few years ago. Oof. They definitely,
for that mobile remake.
Yeah, they put some like harder pixel edges on there, so it fits in more with the game. I tried
to ignore the way that they actually did fuck up one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah. So the characters look pretty. They might have taken those character cells as like a starting point, but they definitely like kind of roughed them out a little bit, and they look fine. They look good. They don't look awkward in the environments that they're in. Yeah, absolutely. And they've added a lot of other kind of subtle graphical pizzazz in spots. Like at the very beginning, you and these two soldiers in your big hefty Magitech armor like go up on a cliff overlooking this town that you're about to go wreck. And in the original game, you're just on this cliff and there's just kind of like a blank pit below you. But in this one, like you can see the town down below you and like the glow coming from like the light of the buildings. And of course, in the famous scene where you're trudging over the snowfields and the credits are playing. In this case, there's no credits. They took that out. It's kind of weird because you're just watching them trudge across the snow for like a couple minutes for no reason as they approach the city.
Just to listen to one of the greatest songs in video games.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, they're just sit here and listen to this, and that like they did a pass on the music for this release, and it sounds real good. Like they added some nice little just elaborated on it, I guess I would say. It's not like a full like rearrangement, reorchestration. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm not good with music stuff other than it sound real good. And I was aggravated that like the Steam, like it came with what was labeled a soundtrack, but it's like 3 songs, and I'm like, you motherfucker, I want the whole thing. Like, the how dare. But also like in the battles, like the spell effects have a little bit more like pop and pizzazz to them as well.
Oh, they got some, some old razzle dazzle in some of the effects for sure.
Gave him the old razzle dazzle in there, but for the most part, it's Final Fantasy VI. It's just kind of shined up a little bit. The font has been a point of contention in these pixel remaster games since the first one was released, that the font looks like ass. But let me tell you how easy that is to fix on a PC version of a video game, which is to say, real easy.
Preach.
Yeah, you just you Google, the name of the game and the font, and you will be very quickly brought to the information you need to just swap out a couple files. And fix that so it looks
Didn't they
better.
Add like a thicker retro font to the game, or no? Is it still just the?
I didn't see it.
The shitty new font.
Yeah,
pretty sure it's just the new font.
It's just the shitty
like
new
Tahoma
font
or some shit. It's like Arial.
Yeah. And it also sucks because like one of the things that I liked about Final Fantasy VI, the original version, is that they had a bunch of different backgrounds for the command windows and dialogue boxes, and I never use like the classic blue, so that was like one of the first things I went to change, but you can't do that.
I always change mine to dark purple, like the label art.
Oh, nice. I might have used that one, but there was some nice ones. But that stuff's not in this game. It's just the plain blue and a font that you need to fix. But once you do that, like, and it's weird. I didn't think it would bother me as much as it did, but like almost right off the bat, I was just like, oh, what the hell is this shit?
I found myself reading things like twice.
Yeah.
You could have put ring dings in there and totally dropped the ball on it.
Yeah, but it just looks wrong. But like I said, it's an easy thing to fix, at least on the PC version. I know this is also out on mobile, but what are you doing?
Putting papyrus in mine.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just easy to, customize your buttons, and otherwise you're playing Final Fantasy VI, and that's all there is to it. And Final Fantasy VI is a great game.
Well, it's $17.99. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's worth it. It's not a bungled version. I know people were like complaining about the pricing structure of the pixel remasters, but there is work going into them, and yes, it is still kind of weird because some are like, this one's $8, this one's $12, this one's $13.50, and this I believe is the most expensive one, and it's the best one.
And the original,
one big to it too that might stand out for that. If I remember correctly, they actually they put vocals over the actual orchestra or opera scene.
The opera scene, yes, they did.
That might justify the cost right there for some folks.
Yeah.
What can I see here?
They did it in 7 languages.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's why it costs so much. They did
Money.
that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're paying $17 for a night. Yeah. Oh, it's a 30-year-old game, but it's a nice update of a 30-year-old game that is still like, you will get the hours out of it for sure. I just want them to release the complete soundtrack for me to just easily purchase. That'd be nice.
I would also really like to see them take this whole series, bundle them up, and put them on console.
Yeah,
that'd be really fucking nice, Square.
Yeah,
I have
to. There is I don't know why they did it this way. Maybe it was just to like get them out first, but it seems like they would just be throwing away profit by not putting these on everything, and the Switch especially. Like the Switch begs for the presence of these games.
Yeah,
they're going to do that. I'd bet you money by the end of this year, going to be an announcement for all three of them in a bundle.
Is it real money or is it Target money? Is it like,
Target money?
Can I put up 10% less of the bet and re-up this?
Very good callback, dude.
Money is money, okay? Even if it's discounted, you'll be happy to get it. But it's okay because I'm not losing.
And for people who want to complain about the price of Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, the original game retailed for $89.99, lest we forget.
Yeah.
It was a $90 game when it came out.
Okay, so I paid less than that, I think. I paid like 70
$80.
I think I paid 75. But
mine was free.
Fuck you.
Well, hey,
you want to know why?
Why, Chris?
Because a friend loaned it to me, and then he sold his Super Nintendo and all his other games, and he forgot that he sold Final Fantasy 3, or that I had Final Fantasy 3. And I was like, "Hey, don't you want this back?" He's like, "Oh, I don't have a Super Nintendo anymore, so just keep it."
Oh, wow, nice. That was nice of him.
But mind you, that was $70, $80, $90 in like $1994, $95.
Yeah.
So, and that's like $130 in today's money.
That was $20 less than the Super Nintendo itself
at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
And at the time, and this is a story that I will, always tell regarding Final. I will always think of the story when I think of this Final Fantasy is that I did not have the monies on hand to buy the game when it came out. It came out in like end of October, early November, something like that. It was a fall release, and my birthday money was long gone at that point. And I was just like, man, I really want this game. Like, what am I gonna do? And I was wondering this out loud. And my dad says to me, and now you have to understand at this juncture in my life now at the age of 40, and as it's been since, let's be honest, since I was like 30 and maybe a little before, I have been a man without a full head of hair. But at the time, I had long, luscious brown hair, like every cool 8th grader should. And my dad did not like it because he thought I looked like a girl. So he said, "You want the money to buy that game? Cut your hair."
Damn.
I was like,
God.
I was like, fucking sold. I didn't even think about it. I'm like, yep, I'm in.
That's awesome.
I was like, yep. Goodbye, hair. See you later. Get me Final Fantasy 3 as fast as possible.
Do you want to buzz it as I fire up the game? Like, do you want to?
Yeah.
You're paying. Do you want to do the job?
Yeah, and
Awesome.
I never looked back. So yeah, well worth it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, Tim, that is it for you.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Any final words before we let you get going?
I will give you a fantastic quote from Elden Ring. It was one of my first favorite messages that I found. It was on the floor in front of a woman named the bedside companion, something like that. It's a woman, and on the message read, "Seek hole and then offer piercing."
Right.
Wow.
Jesus, they were.
Well,
Good night.
all right. Good night. Night, Tim.
See you
He
later.
just left. That's awesome.
God.
But don't
Like deep in the night.
How are we an hour into this and we did 2 reviews?
I asked, I was like, I want to hear more about Pernell's target scan. It's all my fault.
I wanted to do my own Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster review, and I haven't even been paid off by Square.
To be fair, we have not been paid off. We were just given a code.
Sure, Joe, sure.
If we were paid off, I would have the game right now as well as a lot of cocaine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know we were going in that direction, but
I mean, if you're getting paid off, you might as well go all the way, right?
guess
Right.
so, yeah.
Well, I don't know why I didn't say that. Cocaine white as the hills of Narsh.
Next game to talk about is Conan Chop Chop, or Conan Chop Chop. I should probably, say
Conan,
the right.
yes.
I'm so used to Conan O'Brien. Conan.
I know.
Chop. Developed by Mighty Kingdom, published by Funcom, released March 1st on the Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, and PS5 for $19.99. It's on PC for $14.99. Conan Chop Chop is a party roguelike for 1 to 4 players, full of mayhem, loot, and adventure. In this outrageous take on Conan the Barbarian, you are a muscle-bound hero foolish enough to try and stop the evil wizard Thoth Amon. Chris, tell us about your time with Conan Chop Chop.
I was struggling to think of that wizard's name, and you gave it to me, so excellent. This is a game where a wizard whose name I've forgotten summons up a demon from the underworld or something, and the demon's like, "Where are my legs? Oh, you've only summoned half of me because you only have half of the heart of whatever it is," and the guy's like, crap, I better get some kind of muscle-bound idiot to sacrifice in order to fully summon this demon guy. And so Thoth, what's his name, decides that he holds a tournament of skill where you have to basically get through a bunch of dungeons and then go to his castle for your reward. And so, of course, Conan, being the character that he is, immediately falls for it, and that's where your game begins. But he's not alone. He has brought his friends, as I tab over, to read the names of Belit, Palantides? I actually don't know. Palantides? Anyway. And Valeria, some of which you may recognize as characters from the actual Conan comic book and films, which I'm not super familiar with myself, but I looked into it, and yeah, these are like characters from the actual thing. And in fact, a lot of the pretty much everything, I think, not everything, but like a lot of things in this game are actually like faithfully researched and incorporated from the source material. So it's not just Conan after a bunch of nameless blobs and goblins and stuff. So anyway, your task is to go through these dungeons, defeating nameless blobs and goblins and stuff, and try to get a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of other little trinkets and stuff, so that when you inevitably die from a hornet shooting its stinger at you, which, oh god, then you end up back in the hub town, which of course there's a hub town, which is set up with all kinds of great little things to purchase and basically get yourself a loadout. So money is used. Basically, you use money to get your sword, shield, armor if you want to change them out, or just go with the default, whatever. But of course, once you die, those are lost. However, there's other kinds of more permanent currency, such as the kind of currency that allows you to permanently basically access more powerful weapons and such that'll either drop in the dungeons or you can purchase them in the stores. There's also skill points that you can obtain and use those to purchase basically skill tree powers for all of the 4 characters. And of course you can choose any of the 4 characters to travel with you, and you can kind of level them up as you play with them. So really, really good actually in terms of roguelites, which belies the graphical nature of the game. The graphics, I'm going to say they mostly look like that Cyanide and Happiness comic that everybody posts on Facebook. It's, stick figure characters, but they're colored in and they have some detail, but their arms and legs are just sticks. So, that's the gist of the graphics of the game. The monsters are also very cartoony, but, somewhat serious looking. It is kind of funny to see massive hulking barbarian Conan, done up in stick figure style, and yet still kind of conveying, they gave him the pecs and stuff. So it's still conveying this Schwarzenegger-esque, Mr. Universe build, again, very effectively, for a cartoon. I was actually kind of impressed. The game also runs at a very smooth frame rate, which is good because they will throw a bunch of enemies at you, and so, it's nice that it doesn't slow down too much. Well, actually, I don't know that it slows down too much because the one thing I didn't get to try in this game, and that is a huge feature of it, is up to 4-player co-op. You can have friends join
I actually played online. I did some online earlier today. My biggest gripe with the online, first off, This is the fault of playing pre-release, but there was like no one on day one.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The game's out today officially, and I couldn't find a game. So I'm sure people are still picking it up. It's still releasing. Yeah. People are still finding an audience, but I had to set up a game. But once I did get a game set up, the connection was fine, had no issues playing it. I got further playing than I did solo, which is good. This is definitely a game where you need to have friends to get through it, because it is really, really hard game.
Yes,
and it's frustratingly hard. If you're trying to play this solo, I got to the first boss in solo on my own. I got there. I got him down to his 3rd health bar, and I couldn't keep it up. It was just too many enemies coming at me. Too many just super wide area of attack hits. Not enough health drops. And then my other real gripe with the game is I think progression is just too slow.
Yeah, and I feel like I complain enough about slow progression in roguelites that I feel like maybe it's just not the genre for me, and maybe they're all like this. But yeah, it is hard to get those like permanent items that upgrade where you can buy like the better weapons, and even harder to get the ones that upgrade your skills. You're going to be restarting this game a lot, and the game seems to expect you to, because it's only got 4 levels up until you get to the final. And yeah, I too did not get through that, but not for lack of trying, because this game will definitely keep you coming back, hitting those slimes and hornets and whatnot, because as the nature with roguelites, it lets you keep enough stuff that you're like, okay, well, this time I'm gonna like get in there and through like 4 or 5 more times, and maybe I can get a new sword or something.
Yeah, I hate how slow progression is, because it takes forever to get any kind of skill points unlocked, and because of how limited your skill points are, you really don't feel like experimenting with other characters.
Right, yeah, because you have to start all over again once you,
like if I unlocked a health pickup on Conan, why would I want to use a character that doesn't have that bonus health? I would have to start completely from scratch. They don't even have an ability unlocked. If you do the tutorial, you get an ability unlocked for Conan. They don't even have their initial ability unlocked. You have to earn a skill point, which could take, depending on your early runs, it could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 runs before you unlock another skill point.
Very true. And I guess the case to be made for the different characters is that they do all play differently. So like Billy, is more of a range character, so that might be more your thing. Or, Palantides is like a defense kind of character, and
him holding his weapon above his head as he runs around is hilarious.
Yeah, like I like the humor of the game, actually. Of course, the characters look funny, and like there's some funny dialogue, and of course you've got the requisite arrow in the knee joke right at the beginning. But yeah, and I didn't quite catch the difference between Conan and Valeria, but they're both barbarians, and they're both kind of the badass characters. I mostly played as Conan because I was like, well, I want to play as the titular character so that I can get some skill points here. And yeah, I did really sort of grind it, and I was like, I do feel like this game is really trying to push me in the direction of some multiplayer here. Yeah, because it would be much better for crowd control, especially having somebody in the back like shooting arrows and stuff, because every character can use like arrows and like roll attacks and stuff. It's just some characters are more geared towards it. So, yeah,
I'm a melee guy, and something that you need to learn with this game if you're doing melee is blocking and parrying. I said you need.
I know, I said it too.
You dick.
Didn't realize you were caught that.
Yeah, I think progression is an issue, and I hope the game finds an audience, because I would love to play this online with 4 players, and as it stands, I only have like 2 people that I can play with. I don't think there's crossplay. I didn't see any options for it in the settings. Usually if there is crossplay, there's options to disable it in settings. So I don't
know about any of that. I play Nintendo games.
Well, this one is $20. What are your thoughts?
$20. Well, that is, yeah. If this game like really seems to resonate with you, I would say it's a buy it. But honestly, for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and give it the old try it. I think there's enough quality here, definitely enough content, and you're definitely going to be putting a lot of hours in. So I would say, yeah, try it, unless this is like just totally your thing, in which case I would say, I didn't have any complaints other than the complaints that come along with like high difficulty roguelites, which is what this is. So there you go.
I can agree with that. I would definitely say if you have friends to play with, it pushes it more into the buy it camp.
Yeah.
All right, next up is a musical story developed by Glee Studio and Bromio, published by Digerati, released March 2nd on PS4 and PS5, 3rd on the Switch, 4th on Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC for $14.99. A musical story is a rhythm game set against a 70s backdrop. Explore the memories of Gabriel, a young man trying to come to terms with his situation through the connections to his musical memory. Pernell, tell us about a musical story.
So, musical story is essentially a fairly pocket. I don't want to necessarily call it pocket, but it's basically a it's a narrative game without words, where you are viewing the story of a young man who is in a hospital bed and essentially getting to the point of discovering what put him there. And this is done through a series of vignettes, little story bits that pop up in the center of the screen. And the cool thing about this game is that the music that plays to each of these narratives or these story bits is very reminiscent of, I'm not making the same mistake again. You say the name, Joe.
Of Gabriel?
We had the conversation. Oh, no. Remember, I was like, this reminds me of like freaking Bob Marley. He was like, it's not Bob Marley. It's Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Jesus.
Jimi Hendrix.
I couldn't remember. Like, what the hell are you talking about? The name? Oh, yeah, from the other day.
Yeah, because remember, it was a whole thing about it was only because like my local area. It's nothing to do with like I got the music styles confused or nothing. It was like my local area and all that. But it's music that's very reminiscent of the style portrayed originally by like Jimi Hendrix. And it sounds really good in this game. The story bits themselves are fairly short, which in turn means each level's fairly short. But that's okay, because you're more concerned about the story, admittedly, and listening to the music than the gameplay itself. I would say this is one of those cases where the gameplay is just kind of there to give you something to do while you're watching the art, be portrayed on the screen and being pumped into your ears. The actual musical gameplay, however, consists of a circular note stream that goes around the outer rim of the bubble that portrays the story that's taking place. And what happens is, as the music is playing, you will see these circles pop up on the line. The circle will have an indicator of either pressing left, right, or left and right simultaneously. And this can be done with either the left and right buttons or the left and right triggers, whatever you prefer. When the time comes, it'll go around, it'll display all the buttons and time with the beat. And then at the end, it'll loop back around and play the sequence again. And at this time, you have to actually input the buttons. Now, it's funny because early on, I was like, this is pretty stupid easy. The buttons are right there. The beats are pretty simple. I'm just going to get it in. Big whoop, right? But the thing that makes it challenging later in the game, when the note streams become a little more complicated, is the fact that there's nothing on the game, on the line, that indicates what timing to press it at. There's no marker that says 5 seconds between these or 2 seconds between these. It's literally, you have to hear it and do it. So you get a bit of an indicator of when the actual chain of notes starts this rhythm sequence, but you don't know the timing between the notes unless you hear it yourself. So therein lies the challenge. But if you make a mistake, the game doesn't punish you for it. It just says, give it another try, give it another try. Give it another try until you get it right. And eventually, if you just really can't get it, it'll unlock an assist mode for you. I didn't open up assist mode, so I don't know what that is. But I'm just telling you, assist mode is in the game.
There's an assist mode, but I'm too good to use assist mode.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't go that far. I'm stubborn. It's like Miss Explosion Man. You want to get through the levels for free? Fuck you, no. Play the whole level. Enough about Explosion Man. Let's talk about some musical story. So, At the beginning of each level, though, like the incentive for actually getting perfect on the stages instead of just letting it go by is that at the beginning of every level, it starts with a star icon in the upper right corner. And that icon will only stay there so long as you get a perfect string of notes throughout the entire story chapter. If you get a star on every level, you'll get a bonus level at the end of the game. You can go back and do levels you didn't make it through. So honestly, your best bet is probably not to do what I would do and just play through the darn game and not worry about getting the stars yet. Just play through the game, then go back and get the stars you missed, and then see the bonus level. It's weird in that if you were to say, Pernell, did you feel that the game was fun? I'll be honest with you, not so much. And the reason I say that is because I didn't feel, what kind of music games I generally get into. I'm in like crazy, fast-paced, frantic. You got to get the notes right, difficulty. But with that said, this is one of those cases where I don't think that's a slight for this game, because this game is actually an art piece, in my opinion. The gameplay is meant to keep you engaged while the story is playing. It's meant to keep you apprised and more appreciative of the music. The music is not a passive experience in this game because you have to play to the beat of the music while the story is taking place. And I did find that to be engaging. Not like, oh man, that was so much fun, but I felt engaged and entertained. Sort of like how you would watch certain movies. Like, I don't watch movies and go, this is a fun movie. No, I go, this is an engaging movie. I'm intrigued by this movie. I don't go, what a fun movie this thriller was, or this drama. What a fun drama. No. So I had to clarify that so people are like, why is he saying the game's not fun and yet he likes it? There you go, fishbowl. So honestly, this game ends up being pretty nice. It's a beautiful game. The art style is great. The music is really good. And again, I like the fact that it tells a story without words. There is singing that comes into the game, though, which is really awesome. It's music where it's like you play one of those games and you sometimes can't tell if it's a fake language or if it's in a language you just don't understand or what they're doing. But whatever it is, it's actually beautiful vocals that gets played over the actual melodies that get played throughout the game. Overall, I would say this is one of those games where you play it to get the experience and then you move on. But it's a good experience and an experience worth engaging in or undertaking so you can know it for yourself and experience it for yourself. And then maybe get that soundtrack afterwards if they end up making it available to the public.
I'll have to check if that's available or not. But $15 on this one. What do you say?
Give it a genuine buy. Like I said, it was an engaging experience that I was happy to partake in.
Cool.
Or partake of.
Either one works.
Oh.
Anyway.
Brooke, which one is it?
Okay, so I wasn't listening to the very last line, but I do want to go ahead and chime in that I was listening when you were qualifying is the right word here, why you like it, even though you maybe not enjoyed all the gameplay. And I think that's super valid. I have games like that where I consider them an art piece, and sometimes just for music alone, but I didn't love playing them, but looking back on them, just an absolute achievement. So I think
Silver
that's valid as
Surfer.
hell.
Silver Surfer, really?
Silver Surfer is a great game to listen to and not play ever.
Christ.
All right, next up we have a preview. We're taking another look at 30XX, developed and published by Batterystaple Games. Originally released February 2021 on Steam Early Access, is available for $19.99. The newest update for the game just hit February 28th. Jump, shoot, and slash your way through 30XX, the roguelike action platformer you can play with a friend. Explore lush, ever-changing worlds that mix precise platforming with fevered combat. Destroy fearsome guardians, master unique powers. Rediscover the 1,000 years we've lost. Chris, what's going on in 30XX and what's going on in the new update?
Okay, so I actually didn't realize that we are actually reviewing the latest update. I just got the message that there was one, so I'm gonna have to come back and talk about that update.
Okay,
but I can talk
tell us about the game.
Yeah,
tell us about because I believe Tim covered this previously, and I was like, "Hey, Tim, do you want to take another look at this?" He was like, "If it's for a review, sure, but I don't want to double dip preview for it." And
yeah,
I figured I would see if someone else wanted to chime in about the game and give their thoughts on it. Totally. So tell us about your thoughts on 30XX.
Okay, so 30XX. This is the second in in a series of games that started with 20XX. So they come out with a game every 1,000 years, and which I some people do, but I mean, we are all talking about Elden Ring, here in the year of our Lord 3022. So 30XDX is basically the spiritual sequel to, well, no, it's a direct sequel to 20XDX, I suppose. I haven't played 20XDX is the thing, but it always did interest me because I like Mega Man games. I like Mega Man X. I even like Mega Man and Zero, although I've only played one of them, but it was really nice. And this is kind of taken after the latterest of the three. You play as one of two characters. One is Nina, who basically is a stand-in for a Mega Man X type character. She's got that Mega Buster and the charge attack and the slides and stuff. And the other is kind of a stand-in for Zero, which is he's got the sword and then kind of more ninja skills and pretty cool stuff like that. So you choose them, and then you go through they start you. Well, you can. I don't remember if the tutorial is optional or not now that I think about it, because Conan, Chop Chop Conan, also had a tutorial that I don't remember if it was compulsive or not. Anyways, I always play through tutorials, so I really should take better notes. Anyways, they teach you how to play the game, but if you've played Mega Man, you kind of know what you're getting into here. It's run, jump, shoot, slide, not slide necessarily, but jump up walls and defeat enemies that will look very familiar indeed. But the cool thing about this game is that it is procedurally generated. 20XDX was that way. It was entirely, all the levels are different every time you access them, and so you couldn't sit there and memorize a level. You actually had to adjust to these levels that were ever changing. In order to defeat a bunch of robot bosses and then take on some great big evil guy or something, I guess. Again, I haven't played the original, but in this one, we not only have the procedurally generated levels in the standard mode, we now also have a mega mode, which locks in the generated level. So it's still not a static designed level. It's just the game generates it once, and then it's like that for the rest of the game. And so it gives you more of a chance to it kind of gives you this interesting combination of being able to memorize the stages, but also they are different when you start a new game, so it's still different than the last time you played it. It's just you now have a chance to go in and kind of memorize it and know where everything is and do all this other cool stuff. So I really quite like that, and I definitely played this mostly in Mega Mode. So the other thing is that you gain power-ups and new weapons and such in this game, but they aren't necessarily tied to defeating the level boss. You will get something for defeating the level boss, but halfway through you might end up in a challenge room, which if you access it, then it sends a bunch of enemies, some waves of enemies after you, and if you defeat them all, then you get a reward. Sometimes you can find these a little bit more sporadically than without really any kind of ceremony. But yeah, if you basically get your choice, you're I want to have a new buster, I want to have more maximum energy, I want to have, and it's really useful stuff too. It's not just throwaway things, incremental tiny stat growths. These are actually badass weapons, and of course if you die you keep them, so that means you can now go, if you got the three-way blaster that blasts a blast, up and down vertically as well as forward, then you get to keep that for pretty much ever, which is, and also through the menu, just like in Mega Man, you can, switch between them and switch them on and off. But there's different ones, so you can actually combine different things, which is really cool too. Lots and lots of cool stuff to explore as far as customizing your character goes, so that's really cool. The thing I actually like the most about this game versus 20XDX, because again I looked at it, so 20XDX is it was kind of designed after Mega Man, but it's very kind of hand-drawn looking. To me it's it's something that for lack of a better term, I can describe it as indie game art. It's drawn sprites and they're kind of thrown in there and stuff, and it looks pretty good. Nice kind of hand-drawn backgrounds. This game actually does adhere to like 32-bit like pixel sprite look, and the backgrounds that they employ for this game are fantastic. It is really cool to look at what's going on in the backgrounds here, and it's all done in pixel art. This game is like leaps and bounds better looking than the previous one, just from what I could tell. I mean, the art direction was always good. It's just I really like this style more. It just suits the gameplay and everything like that. So music's also good. It's kind of it's very chiptune-y, again, for lack of a better term. But
I mean,
so
whatever term works, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it definitely sounds like somebody could have just written it and then just like, put it in the game. Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I won't go into it. This is a podcast. Why should we talk about things?
Yeah, fuck talking. We have shit to do.
Yeah, exactly. So the only real
I laughed
criticism,
super hard at that.
the only real criticism I have of this whole thing, and it's really only because they basically put this thing out and they're like, see, it's like Mega Man, but we made it, and because it's like that, I'm forced to like compare the experience to one of my favorite action series of all time. And I will say that the only thing that does kind of lack in this type of game, and it comes along with the territory, so don't take this as like a real like this is bad, but something that's lacking is level design. Because it's procedurally generated, it's not always very interesting. Sometimes you'll be running around for a stretch, and then it's just like two enemies and they're in a ditch. And you're just like, oh, okay, well, I can jump down there and blast them, or not. There's nothing down there. I could just move on. Oh, there's platforms going over here. And it goes to a wall that I can just slide down and get to the next platform. No real risk there. That's just the way it happened. So it's like I kept going through these stages, and my brain was like trying to think of like, because especially like I would say the Mega Man X series, it's like the star of the show really was the levels. Because is Mega Man, we all knew that. It's, robot animals, that's cool too. But the way that the levels like played out was just so super cool. And, I just kind of felt like that was missing here. It would actually be kind of cool to me if they took it a step further and used these assets to like actually build some really cool levels that you could play as an option, and then like, give you the option to scramble them up and procedurally generate them and stuff.
No.
So, you never know if you're going to get like a really cool level, or if you're just going to be like, all right, let's just get through this and try and defeat that boss. So there you go.
Well, the game is hanging out in Steam Early Access for $20. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is well worth it, actually, for fans of like Mega Man and for like this action style. It's so crisp and clean and like really good feeling to play. And again, the procedurally generated levels, it's a double-edged sword, but the edge that, that works for me, like actually really works for me. So it's kind of nice to have that experience reset every time, or kind of fix it. Again, I think that the fact that it does fix into a certain like pattern, if you want it to in Mega Mode, is a huge benefit. So yeah, I would say this is worth your money. And like me, you can probably just skip the first one.
And the update, let's see, what kind of fun stuff was in the update? They introduced Water Grav, the Endless Abyss. It is a whole new biome, I guess, the 8th level theme for the game. Comes with new enemies, new music, new visuals, new mechanics, a new boss, all that fun stuff. Runs now go to level 8. They added new core sets. They add set bonuses, so there's a lot of cool stuff being added to the game all the time, and this was just a free update to the game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess I glazed over the part where because I saw that there was an update, but I just like loaded up the game and started playing it like an idiot. And so yeah, I'll fire that up and I'll make that a little bonus edition next week or something.
Cool. All right, well,
Sweet.
Next up is For the Warp, developed and published by Massive Galaxy Studios, released February 24th on the Switch for $17.99. For the Warp is a roguelike deck-building game in space. Discover and add new cards to your arsenal, increase your chances of surviving, explore procedurally generated systems, and fight your way to the Warp Gate. Pernell, tell us about For the Warp.
So For the Warp is a roguelike card battling game. You've heard the type in the past. This ain't no different in regards to that base formula. So get that out the way. But it's the framing and all that makes it different and unique. I heard that.
Unique.
At the offset, you choose a ship, though originally you only get one ship. And you are then immediately dumped into I guess they're nebulas. I don't even know what you call them. A galaxy, a nebula, a place in space. And this space location is composed of let's say I'm making this up because I don't remember. I didn't do an actual count. Like a 20 by 20 grid of tiles. And your goal here is to get from your starting point to the warp gate placed somewhere on the map, thereby leaving that galaxy and being transported to the next galaxy. Overall, trying to eventually get to the final galaxy and get to your destination. Now, as you are moving, you have visibility only of the squares, the 9 squares, or I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares around you. God, I'm tired. Around you. So you can't see anything else beyond that at any given time, generally, except for the occasional, the actual exit and the occasional, blinking square that just tells you there's something important there. Not necessarily sure what it is, but there's something worth getting there or checking out there. So you'll move around on this board, and each time you take a step, you will lose 1 unit of fuel from your ship. You don't want to run out of fuel because, I'll tell you that in a second. So, as you explore, there will be obstacles that bar your progress, obstacles that generate events such as purchasing a vending, a shopping or whatever. But then the primary things that will exist are these little angry face boxes. And if you walk onto one of those, you'll engage in a battle. Battle is generally against opposing ships, and those ships will try to kick your ass. And at this case, a battle ensues. The way battles take place is you have a health bar and you have a shield gauge. As you probably can guess, shield is what takes damage before your health takes damage. In addition to that, you can get general buffs that your ship will have equipped. And there's also a boost gauge that is only affected by certain ships or certain cards. Now, up the offset, generally, because I think different ships can have more than this, but you get 3 this turn options, 3 turn icons, or AP we'll call them in this circumstance. And the different ships you can equip that are basically your cards can take up 1 or more, or it's actually 0 or more AP to use. And they do a variety of different things. They can give you a shield bump, they can do attacks, they can provide status effects on your ship or the opponent's ships, multiples, because it can be multiple opponents. And just a variety of different cool effects. One thing I like is that they show you what the opponent's ships are going to do, so you are able to try to plan based on what they're going to do. One card that I ended up getting surprisingly early in the game, I think it was through a series of honest RNG luck, was an ability called Ring Down, which basically took all my AP that I had at my base turn, 3 AP, and it would burn out all their shields, all the shields that the opponent ships have built up, and it would disable their turns. In fact, I'm pretty positive it was because I found that item that I was able to get as far as I did on my first play alone. Because I was coming across the ships that I was almost positive were meant to be this is just going to shut you down on your first run. Set it up, buddy. They have 200 shields. It's well, I got Ring Down. Now you have nothing. And you're disabled for a turn. In your face. So if you see that card, you need to buy it. There's no question asked. Get it. But you'll be doing these things going back and forth until you eventually kill the enemy and move on. One thing I like about these things also is there's a number of cards that have a certain synergy to them. There's a card I had that created an ignite status for the enemy, but then another card that said if the enemy is ignited, they will take double damage from the card. One card actually ignited and also did damage, so long as it just depended on the situation that the ship was in when you used it. Cool stuff like that. And all the abilities, honestly, I like a lot of the card abilities. There's one that straight up says spend money and bribe the ship to go away. It's all right, it worked for me. So it ends up being pretty cool to kind of mess around with the different combat options and stuff. So you'll be doing that, stopping at space stations to buy new chips or to purchase fuel or to purchase more hit points, and just a variety of things, or upgrades for your ship. Sometimes you'll even find alternate exits from the actual sector. So you might find an alien key that opens up a rogue warp gate If you use that, you'll go and take a new warp gate to a place that wasn't originally on your map, which is kind of nifty too. Now, like I said before, because I didn't realize this initially in the game, I only got lucky, was that there is a fuel gauge in addition to just moving around and not dying. I was spending all my money on ships and stuff at different stations, not paying attention to fuel, and then eventually I ran out of gas. What happens when you run out of gas is you're just stuck drifting in space, and events will just start occurring. You might survive. I don't know. Like you'll just start getting attacked by enemies that just see you floating in space, and you got to fend them off. But then you also might come across the guys like, "Hey, see you're in a bit of a bind. I'll just give you some fuel, and you're back on your move." But you have to survive to get to that point, and you might not do that because they're relentless when you're out of fuel. So basically, that ends up being the loop. Like sometimes you'll find extra ships out in space, and if you find those ships, or if you beat a certain boss or certain bosses, you'll unlock new ships that you can use on subsequent replays. And the different ships come with their own different starting decks, which means they have different play styles. They have different amounts of hit points, different shield max capacities, and different AP counts. So it'll be fun when you start playing more of it and getting more ships that allows you to kind of develop different play styles and the like. There are a few weird things about the game I need to mention, because I will say out the bat, though, I did have fun with it, but just genuinely. So I guess at least they try it. I mean, because I had a good time playing the game. However, there are a few things that I think the dev will need to work out for like a future update patch or something. For example, there was one story event I came across, or one of those events I mentioned, like where I came across a rogue ship in space. The ship was just floating there. I didn't get any text box or anything to indicate what to do, and I just kind of had to reset the game. Fortunately, when you reset the game, you can continue, and it dumps you at the beginning of the nebula you're in, but you still shouldn't have to do that either. I didn't lose a lot of progress, but I lost some progress to essentially it was a glitch. Yeah. I didn't like. In addition to that, one of my deaths, it was strange. I don't even know how to explain this, but I died, but the game kept going. Like it was like I had no cards on the screen. It was like make a decision. So I was like, okay, I'm waiting. Nothing happened. So I pressed the end turn button, and then the enemy ships attacked the void. And it was like, okay, well, they're attacking nothing. And it was like, make a decision. I'm like, what decision? I'm dead. So I did this for like 3 turns and eventually tapped the screen and it went away. I don't know what happened there or why it happened, but thankfully, at least I was able to get off the screen. And also, there's like some weirdness in regards to like, I believe there's touch controls and also button controls, but I had a few moments where I was actually kind of having issues with like trying to jump between the one or the other. And it was just, I was having difficulty getting the buttons to register like I was expecting them to. That could have been user error. I don't know. But then there also wasn't like any visual indicator that says you're using touchscreen controls or you're using button controls. So I don't know what was happening. It was bizarre. But those gripes aside, I at least had fun playing the game, which means it's still a game that I'm glad to have in my library. It just needs some fixing and patching.
No. Well, what would you do to like? How would you improve things?
Well, those improvements are pretty much tech things. Like, don't make my game float in limbo when I die. Just outright make menu. Have an icon on the top middle screen that just indicates if I'm in touchscreen mode or if I'm in button mode. That way, if there is an actual issue that goes beyond that, I at least can say, well, the game's saying I'm in button mode, so it can't be that. Because like I said, it was just like, it was almost like I was thinking maybe the game was confused as to which input method I was using. So it didn't know how to let me select the chip and use it on a ship. So like eventually ended up becoming a thing where I was like, okay, I can't select the chip and use it on the chip. So I guess I better select the chip with a button, but then touch the chip. And that's when it ended up working. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not how it's supposed to work. This is stupid. Because that's not how it always happened. It just happened in that instance. But it's just like stuff like that. Like those are basically like technical issues. As far as the gameplay goes, I think it's fun. Like the game works. If anything, I think it'd be kind of cool if they had more types of events that occurred in space. Though, admittedly, I get that also. It is frickin' space. I mean, how many events can you have? You get attacked, you get helped, you find loot in space. There you go. The only event they have left is like aliens kill you and take over your ship. You have an alien ship.
The funniest part to me with this is glitchiness and you having an issue with that. The store page for this game doesn't load.
There you go.
So I don't know if there's an issue with the game on the store or not, but if it's available for $18, should people buy it?
I would say I'd say buy it, but maybe wait till it either gets patched or it gets a bit of a sale, because I don't want to be the guy that's telling somebody to buy a game that has some glitchiness going on. But I enjoyed the game, so if the developer's listening and they can address those things, I would give this a buy it, honestly. But otherwise, try it Central.
Cool. All right, next up is Pyramid Quest, developed and published by EntwicklerX, Thomas Klaus, and Frank Menzel. Released February 25th on Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 for $9.99. Pyramid Quest is an exploration and treasure hunting game inspired by classic platform games. The goal is to find 3 parts of an artifact and open the gate to the next level while collecting diamonds and coins. Brooke, tell us about your time with Pyramid Quest.
Okay, let me do what I did at Paper Dolls. Just open a can here. This is just Coke Zero, though. All right. So let me get in here. All right. So when I joined the show, I didn't set out to have any kind of like recurring bit, but little by little, I've settled into a bit of a pattern here. Now, almost every week, without even meaning to, I try to take a specific game genre that's already established and probably already has a great name, and I like to just give it a stupid name of my very own that doesn't help or bring anything to the table. This game's a platformer, but it's not just any platformer. This is a platformer mechanically in the same vein, I want to say, as games like Spelunky, Cave Story, Celeste, where it's really an exact platformer, and you're just going to die a lot. I don't know what you call that, so I'm going to call these games Get the Guy on the Thing platformers. Nice. That makes sense to you guys. Okay, so bear with me here. I'm gonna get through this. All right. So the first thing anyone's gonna notice about this game, certainly the first thing I noticed about this game as soon as Joe gave me the link, so probably before you even decide whether you want to buy it, if you played Spelunky, is this game is really inspired by Spelunky. It's got some slightly more 3D graphics than any iterations of that franchise is curving its style from, but it's got a lot in common with the franchise.
I'm going to jump in and say I think this game has more in time with Spelunker than Spelunky.
Oh, I haven't played Spelunker, so
it's an old NES game, and it was pretty fucking bad.
Ooh, okay. Well, you know what? Now I'm wondering, see, I haven't played Spelunker and I'm not familiar with it. I wonder if Spelunky's influenced by Spelunker, and that would kind of change my perception of this game and review a little bit. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I want to learn more about that. Actually, I wish I wasn't mid-review right now because I want to be Googling this and learning about it. I want to see some images. So I'm going to check that out as soon as this is over. So yeah, I was super excited about this game because I'm a huge Spelunky fan. It's hard. It's hard to pick a favorite game for me, but this Spelunky's in my top 3 favorite games. If Joe hadn't shown me this game, I try to buy anything that reminds me of it because I'm always chasing that high that Spelunky would give me. If Joe hadn't shown me this game, I would have asked for it. If I hadn't gotten it for SML, I would have ended up buying it for myself because even if I think a game's influenced by another game, I don't care if it borrows heavily from another game that I like. In fact, not that this applies to this game, but although I may not always respect it, one thing I always like in the world is when a game I was totally addicted to gets ripped off just well enough for me to get addicted to the new game. Fill the empty hole in my heart that the game left that way. I played Breath of the Wild so much. Big hole in my heart when I was done with that one. And guess what? Genshin Impact came out and I wasn't like, fuck these guys, they cloned Breath of the Wild. I was like, awesome, you son of a bitch. I'm in. When Graveyard Keeper came out, I wasn't like, oh, fuck y'all. Y'all just took Stardew Valley and made it goth. I was like, oh my God, cool. Stardew Valley with skeletons? You son of a bitch. I'm in. So going back to the Get the Guy on the Thing platformer, I like this type of gameplay. I've fallen in love with a lot of games like this. This is a challenging platformer where you really got to get the guy on the thing. You're exploring temples and shit. You're trying to get treasure. You've got 4 hit points and then you're dead. All these things it has in common with Spelunky. There's skeletons, there's treasure chests, there's fall damage, there's even green snakes and purple bats, just like Spelunky. But for me, that's where the similarities end. And you'll notice that I didn't list any random or procedural generation of levels at all in the similarities. The game just has the same levels. Once you play through it, you'll be done with it unless you choose to replay that exact same game. And that's fine. Although Spelunky is no contest my favorite platformer, I don't dislike platformers if they don't have procedurally generated levels. Big Cave Story fan. I think Pernell has played that one. Big Celeste fan. Who here is
Cave Story is great.
Love Cave Story. I spent probably 7 months of my life, which I'm not proud of because I think that's probably too long in my early 20s. I took trying to beat the hell levels of Cave Story. It took a big part of my year playing over and over again. I was super addicted to it. Celeste, that game's really challenging for me. I thought I could do anything after I beat Cave Story on the hell levels, but Celeste was super, super hard. But both those games are rewarding, even though they're really, really hard. When a game is super hard nowadays, it needs to be worth your while. We need to have something going on besides the fact that it's just difficult. And that's where games kind of differ from when we were kids, I feel. So this game, if all it really has going for it and it's hard and it's a platformer, it needs to be meticulously designed. It needs to work really great. When you jump, I'm going to do a bad job explaining this because I don't know the technical terms here, but when you jump, it needs to feel a little bit like you're jumping. When you walk, it needs to feel a little like you're walking, et cetera, et cetera. There needs to be some sort of intuitive control that's like worth learning. I know that Celeste is, there's physics going on in the fantasy of that game that aren't in reality, but it really feels like you're moving around. And Spelunky's harsh, but like when I fall, I feel like I fell. When I jump, I feel like I'm jumping, even though I got to get the guy in the thing. When I whip a snake, I feel like I really did that. Like there has to be some sort of connection to bring you in and immerse you that way. If you're playing a platformer game and the main draw is that it is challenging. This game does have fall damage. I know that there are a lot of people who just hate fall damage no matter what. I'm not one of those people. Do I hate it when I fall and die in a game? Sure, of course I do. Can I think of any specific game right now where I'm like, that game shouldn't have fall damage? No, I'm not like that.
Spelunker.
I really got to try this. May like completely change my perception.
I think it'll change your perception of Spelunky as well. I think you'll see where Spelunker went wrong and what they did to improve it with Spelunky. And I think you'll see just a whole new light of how awesome Spelunky is and just some of the pitfalls that Spelunker and by way this game as well, like the fall damage. It's just old, outdated gameplay that I don't know.
The fall damage in Spelunker's hilarious.
You fall
damage in
you fall half your character model and you die.
Yeah, if you a ditch like that you could stand in and just like walk right back out of. If you fall into it, then that's it.
Then you die. It is ridiculous. The best thing to come from Spelunker is our friend Mustin did a cover of the game over theme and titled it "You Just Fucking Died."
Nice.
I've played it on the show before, and I think I'm going to play it again this episode.
I just like that bats crap on you in that game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's totally a thing that happens.
Yeah, I'm going to check this out like right after the show. Spelunky's like changed my life so much. I know that's so crazy because I didn't play it until my 20s. And obviously I started becoming like a gamer, quote unquote, until then. But like, I definitely want to check that out and see where the roots are. Like for me, I don't know anything from what inspired the Spelunky franchise past like the first freeware version of itself. So anyway, let me wrap up this review here because I know we got a lot of reviews going on tonight. But like my experience.
Are you being considerate?
I'm thinking about, I'm considering beginning.
Wow, someone being considerate with their time. Wow, that's new for this show.
I know I'm rambling, but I'm trying to give all these caveats to let you know. You probably know where I'm going with this. I didn't enjoy the game, and I'm trying to let everyone know that the reasons I didn't enjoy it, it's not that I think games shouldn't have fall damage, and I was pissed off at this game for having it. It's not that I don't like platformers that are hard or that don't have procedurally generated levels. Some of my favorite games of all time actually are like those 3 games that I mentioned today. But I didn't find myself enjoying the gameplay of this game. And maybe I'm totally off base and maybe I haven't played the things like Spelunker that I should have played to maybe appreciate this game. But I guess I shouldn't give a spoiler for like my rating of the review, but like this is going to sound a little harsh, but I came away from the game confused as to what their creators were going with for this game. Since they are such fans of the Spelunky franchise, clearly I was confused as to why they designed a game that seemed to me to only emulate the most generic parts of Spelunky. Like there is no random or procedural generation. There's no sort of like roguelike thrill when you start it up where you're like, there's no secret sauce. There's no mystery. There isn't like a story either, like in Cave Story or Celeste. So you're not starting it up being like, man, this time I might get really lucky. I could find a jetpack and Matic. This time I might kill all the shopkeepers and like go rogue. So, I didn't have a good time playing it, and I went into it prepared for it, like at worst, to be a really bad Spelunky ripoff, and for me to really enjoy that, because I don't mind that, and I don't disrespect that kind of creation.
Well, as it stands, it's $10. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna have to make this my first deny it without the Paper Dolls 2 thing where I get to hide behind. It wouldn't be a deny it for me if it were localized correctly. I found this to be a deny it across the board. I wouldn't recommend this game. If you've got $9.99, I would recommend you buy Spelunky 1 or a platformer with more charm and heart. And that sounds so harsh, but if I'm gonna give honest reviews, that's how I really feel about this one.
Hell yeah!
I'm aboard. You are amongst the club members.
I told Joe, I was like, man, and I kind of gave Joe a preview. I was like, this is my first time. I'm really new to reviewing, and it's my first time giving that kind of review. And I respect the creation of game making so much. I think you guys could hear, like, it hurt me to rate Paper Dolls 2 and deny it, because I felt a lot of love in that game, even though it ended up not being my thing. I really want to qualify. I never want to disrespect game makers for creations. I was looking for things to love in this game, so I could pull from that. But yeah, this is my first across the board. And Joe was like, "You gonna pop your cherry on that one?" This is your day, and I was like, "Yeah."
Hey,
are we still saying that?
They can't all be winners. I would say, I think two things that you could do to improve this game to make it a better experience is, one, just give me infinite knives. Let me kill the fucking enemies.
Thank you.
I don't want to have one knife that I could use in a level and I have to use it to kill a snake that's blocking an exit, and then there's one of the artifact pieces is at the end of a hallway with a skeleton there that I have to slowly walk behind and then ninja the piece and run away. Like, just give me more knives. Let me kill the fucking enemies in this game and then get rid of the fall damage.
That's actually that. Getting more knives and getting rid of the fall damage. After I spoke with you this weekend, where I was like, "Hey, here's how I want to pitch this review. I want to be honest, but I want to be nice and respectful." You were like, "Hey, be prepared to tell him how you can improve the game." So the last couple of days, I've been like racking my brain. I'm like, how could you improve this post-production? And I thought about saying take out the fall damage, but that didn't feel like enough for me. I completely agree with you. Give me infinite knives, because I have an infinite whip in Spelunky. It's not much, but it'll get the job done. I completely agree with you there.
Need more guano.
Yes, needs more bat shit. This show has plenty of bat shit.
Zay.
Next game to talk about is Quest for Infamy, developed by Infamous Quests. That's a good match there. Published by Ratalaika Games, released March 4th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, and PS5 for $9.99. Return to the glory days of role-playing and adventure with this humor-filled epic fantasy styled in the vein of classic RPGs where you play the charming villain. Chris, tell us about your time with Quest for Infamy.
Okay, so Quest for Infamy, totally a throwback to the good old days of point-and-click adventures. Sierra and LucasArts and some others.
King's Quest for Glory.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the opposite of that. So you are trying to become kind of a jerk, and you're just trying to further your way in the world. As a character called Roam, and of course, they had I think a sequel or something like that. This game's actually a series, and I think the developer made this game first, and then they made their name to reflect it, and then made some more games. I guess this is just what Wikipedia tells me. And one of the things is called Rome to Ruin. That's really hard to say. Holy shit! I did not ever attempt to do that out loud, and that does not work. Rome to Ruin. Anyway, okay, so you play as Roam. You basically get caught, having a good time with the Baron's daughter, and you have to escape his castle. And then you basically hitch a ride with somebody hauling hay to a town, and then you start your adventure in that town. Basically, trying to create a new identity for yourself and keeping away from that kind of trouble, and then getting into other trouble. So this plays out a lot like a Sierra type game. So it's, basically that you walk around and you talk to people, you choose like all kinds of dialogue and, and I mean a lot of dialogue. And this game is entirely voice acted, which is like props to them for doing it. I mean, they say it took them 10 years to make this game, so I'm like, I kind of believe it because, without like a bunch of money behind this, which of course there's no money in point and clicks now.
George, I actually offered this up to George to review before it went to you, and he had to turn it down because of what he called, quote, bathroom recording syndrome, where it sounds like all of the voiceovers are done in like an echoey bathroom.
Yeah, it very much sounds like this.
Yeah.
So all the voice acting.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what's going on here.
It's hard to really get into things when really echoey, and it's hard to understand and hear things.
Exactly, Joe. That's a very astute observation.
What do you think, Brooke?
Heard all around.
Pernell, your thoughts? Well, that fucked everything up. Anyway, Quest for Infamy.
It's actually pretty good. So yes, it sounds like we're back on Skype. I know.
Oh wait.
So, and I had the same complaint about that one fighting game that friend of ours made that the name is escaping me currently. But I mentioned that it sounded like everybody kind of recorded their lines at home, and there's just varying quality, and that's the way this goes too. Sometimes some of the characters sound like they're right up on the microphone in a booth, and then sometimes it sounds like they're calling from the middle of a lake. You just never know what you're gonna get. And yeah, the voice acting though, like the performances are fine. So it's like it's unfortunate that such a and I was gonna save this for like later in the review, but you brought it up, so we're talking about it now. I would say that for people who are sensitive to such things, as I'm sure George is, because he's an actual audio engineer and producer and records stuff all the time, particularly voice stuff. Then yeah, definitely this is going to have the bathroom recording syndrome for you.
Sounds like a Zoom call being made with a toaster on dial-up.
Dang, all right. There we go. Piling it on.
Thank you, Ian.
So another thing that I kind of noticed about this game was a bit of a lack of puzzles. So I would... and it's probable that I just haven't played far enough into it. I mean, there's only so much you can put into these games like in a week. And but basically it's more about actually adventuring and talking to people and doing combat and like combat type things than like straight up, you gotta attach the bubble gum to a tape dispenser and use that to walk on the ceiling and fix the ceiling fan or something. I don't know, whatever. It's just like wacky stuff like that doesn't seem to be in this game, although they will quip about everything. In fact, if you're the kind of person who describes your style of humor as sarcasm, then this might be the game for you, because sometimes the joke is literally just reading a basic line but in a certain way, and that certain way might be hilarious to people who pick up on that, but it's not like it's not something like Discworld, which was legitimately hilarious. And actually some of the other ones I've played more recently even, but we won't get into those. But yeah, so it's very sarcastic. It's not super absurd. It like actually has some like real moments in it. I mean, you do witness an execution and later can see the head on the spike. Does this have to do with the story? I don't know. The game's a lot of flavor. There's a lot of things to look at that don't really seem to have much of a bearing on anything, which is fine. But yeah, the central like kind of thrust of this game is that you are basically, as you adventure around, you can branch off into 3 different paths in terms of like what kind of adventure you want to have. So you can become like a thieving type rogue. You can become more of a fighter, or you can become a wizard. Actually, I do kind of like the wizard in this game. He looks like Doctor Strange, and his name's Prospero or something like that. It's weird. And yeah, each of those have their own mechanics. You basically, like, fights in this game charmingly remind me of like certain games dating all the way back to like the NES era, where you get in a fight with something, you stand on both sides of the screen, and you just choose 4 different icons for different moves that you do, and you just have a timer that counts down until the enemy attacks you, and you just try to get their life down before your life goes down, and then you're fine. So it's like things like that. And then I didn't get into the magic part because I did a little reading ahead, and apparently the magic part's like for people who really want to like challenge themselves, because it's apparently hard to get into and then to master. So, which is too bad, because that's really actually the one I was the most interested in. But I'll probably get there once I play through the rest of the game. Either way, it's the game also, like with Sierra Games, you can make the wrong choice and get yourself killed. The game boasts that there are 49 unique deaths that you can do, like, that are fully like their own thing, not just dying to some monster. And I haven't really done too many of them, but they have compilations out there that you can watch if you really want to see this guy get torn apart. And you know what? Sometimes you might, because he's a bit of a jerk. But of course, whether you find him lovable or insufferable is kind of up to you and your own dialogue choices. So there you go.
Nice. Well, this one's sitting at $10. What do you think?
I mean, any point and click game that's only $10, they're under, selling, because again, there's no money in this genre. People usually make it as like a passion project, and it's well written. It does have its flaws, but one of those is not how much it resembles a classic like point and click of yore. So if you are into the classics, then yeah, for sure pick this one up, because it will not disappoint you in that way. Unless you really want those like super hard British puzzles, which I don't know, maybe they're tucked away towards the end of the game. I have no idea. It is a lot of dialogue to start, but once you get into it, then you're into it. It's a nice little world, and it's cool to be a part of. And yeah, $10 is a fine price for this kind of game.
Nice. Next up, Pendula Swing, The Complete Journey. Developed by Valiant Games Studio, published by RedDeerGames, released February 11th on the Switch for $9.99. Journey into a world where classic fantasy creatures meet the Jazz Age in Pendula Swing, The Complete Journey, a point-and-click adventure game. Pernell, tell us about your time with Pendula Swing.
So Pendula Swing involves you playing as, I can't even say young because she's like 400 plus years old, but you're as a young, a woman who is also a dwarf, who was a part of a band of heroes during a particular age where they vanquished an evil, like, I guess, ogre. And at this time, she ends up in turn marrying her sweetheart, and then she and her end up moving to like an island to be away from everyone. Her fiance, or her new spouse, dies, and then she ends up staying there for a couple hundred years, just living in like isolation or whatever. But then this comes to a change when someone shows up to her house and steals the axe that she used to kill or to vanquish the monster. So now she is forced to come back into society in order to track down the person who stole her axe. Honestly, though, once I got the ball rolling, it feels more like a MacGuffin just to get the story rolling, because much of this game seems to be about just running around all these areas and taking on a bunch of random side quests for people that exist in the world that you actually come to inhabit or visit. It's a pretty straightforward description to talk about because it's a narrative game. But you basically walk around, you talk to people, and they generally have dialogue with you. Like, you just like asking them where they are, what their name is, what are they doing here, if there's a way for you to help or assist them with something. And if you can assist them with something, you make the right choices, they will provide you with a quest, which then gets added to your to-do list in your handy-dandy notebook. Most generally, the quest will revolve around something akin to take someone an item, go talk to a certain person, tell them to go back home or go to this place. But nothing like that involves like any sort of actions, because it's all, it's an adventure game. So it's weird in that I feel like in that regard, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. Like, the world conceptually is pretty cool. Like you already said earlier, it's a 1920s atmosphere. There's like nightclubs and diners, and there's a variety of different fantasy races coexisting in this society, all dressed up in like flapper outfits or in debonair suits and garb, just living their lives in this mixed hodgepodge of society. However, the weird thing about it is I've had some issues with this game, which kind of mess with me in a way. The first one is fairly personal, which is that for the life of me, I couldn't really find myself really being drawn into this game's atmosphere, despite the fact that the world itself is pretty cool. I fell asleep playing it twice. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, maybe you were just freaking tired, Pernell, and you could be right there, but I'm tired all the time. So that shouldn't matter. I'm always tired. I play games tired, but that's normal for me. Just for some reason, this game, I couldn't quite stick the landing with it. And even when I was able to really get around and playing the game, I never really felt particularly encased or engrossed in the problems that the people had in the world that I came across. So I just kind of went about the paces of like, okay, here's a thing, do a thing. Here's a thing, do a thing. The next issue I had, though this may be just something that I didn't come across as far as it being effective or not, is that you come across animals sometimes. And when you come across certain animals, you're allowed to say, hey, come along with me. And the animals will come along with you. And they stay with you and really do nothing else. And that wouldn't be an issue, except for the fact that the animals actually follow after you, like in a walking pace. And some walk fast. None of them walk fast. Some walk slow and some walk really slow. And if you happen to be in a narrow alley and when one of the animals is following you, like a hedgehog, a really slow hedgehog, not Sonic, you have
Zaki. We're mentioning Sonic.
Gotta go fast. The hedgehog has to get pushed out of the way, or the cat has to get pushed out of the way, and it's just kind of moving it. Now, of course, the game's like you can talk to the animal and say, "I don't want you as my companion anymore," which would resolve that. But then I'm like, "But what if I'm missing out on something by not taking the animal with me?" But either way, you can at least tell the animal to step away. The biggest issue, though, and quite frankly, probably the thing that drove me the most bonkers in a game of this type, is the fact that it is an adventure game, meaning that when you're walking around, you're supposed to investigate things. That's the entire game. Walk up to stuff and press button to investigate it, and then dialogue happens, right? However, the problem is the confirmation window. I'll say, think of like a hitbox in a fighting game, but as far as like the context window. That's the name I was saying for. The context windows are all over the damn place for this thing. Like you might walk up to an object or a person you want to talk to, be like, talk to me, and you can't. You're like, why can't I talk to you? I'm standing right next to you. You start running in circles, hoping to get the proper context. Nothing happens. Now you might be saying, but Pernell, that sounds freaking ridiculous. Maybe that's not a thing you're allowed to interact with, and you're just trying to interact with things you can't. Well, that doesn't work in this game, Fishbowl, because there's a button that you can press that shows you everything that you can interact with by the way of a open circle. So, for example, there's a trash can there. I want to throw some inventory items in the trash because my inventory is too full. I walk up to the trash can. I might luck out, and when I get to the trash can, the A button will appear saying interact with this trash can. But other times, it'll stay hollowed out, and I got to spin in a circle, walk around until I get the trigger. I've had times where I was fighting to get the context to appear, and it turns out that it didn't appear until I was on the other side of the alleyway that the item was on. So I was like, okay, well, this is not responsive. This is not doing what it's supposed to do. To be frank, it was frustrating. Like, it actually made doing things frustrating. Like, I mean, just imagine playing any game you've ever played, an RPG, hell, Final Fantasy VI. Imagine going to Zozo, you want to talk to a guy in the alley. You can't talk to him because you're not standing in the exact spot the game wants you to stand in to talk to the guy. So you start spinning in circles, running up and down, getting into battles and shit. And all the time, nothing's happening. And then eventually, the guy's already out of the alley. You get an indicator saying, talk to man, but he's not there anymore. But I can talk to him for some dumb reason. That's what happens in this game without random encounter. It's really no excuse for it, given that is literally the entire game.
No.
Interacting with people. So, my previous issue was clearly a Pernell personal opinion, but then I guess it's also a review, so there you have it. But I will say at least that the world that they created is interesting in context. Like, I like the idea they outright, one of the indicators when I went from district to district was it said, the world tried to make itself hospitable. Some of the cities tried to make themselves hospitable to giants, but it proved to be too expensive to do so. I wonder why. Maybe because they're freaking huge. But even if you take that aside, I was going to go with a try. The fact that the context on walking up the stuff is borked in certain places. That's if I'm walking or running, by the way. It makes it more frustrating than fun. Like, it's not fully functional. I'll put it that way. To me, that implies that it's not fully functional.
No.
So that's where it puts me. But honestly, clearly, if they were able to resolve that by way of a patch or something, this would get bumped up to a triad for sure.
We have some questions to take care of regarding the price, because as of now, the game normal price is $9.99. Okay.
Yeah.
It is on sale for $1.99.
Okay. So
what are your thoughts?
Okay. If you're willing to hope that they patch that up and make it a little better, then go ahead and give it a buy, because it's a fuck it, why not? Just do it, But the reason why that's still a difficult endeavor is because even a fuck it, why not has to be bought under the pretense you're going to play the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that responsive issue that I was talking about, I wouldn't want to play it. So if you're okay with the belief that they're going to fix this problem, I give it a fuck it, why not? But if you're the type that's like, I'm not buying it based on potential, I'm buying it based on current status, it gets a deny from me. So you're not alone tonight. Dual denies. But
we're high-fiving so hard virtually right now.
Sweet.
But there's room for improvement, and I think I was able to at least vocalize where that improvement could come from. So.
Yeah. All right, well, we got one final game to discuss tonight called Brainstorm Tower Bombarde, developed by Half Face Games, published by Xitilon, released February 25th on Xbox One and Windows 10 for $4.99 each. Separate purchases, separate achievement lists. The best defense is offense is the wrong slogan for this game. The best offense is defense. There's the tactic that can help you survive in a virtual world and find your best human qualities that help you solve the puzzles. Big game world of more than 300 rooms is ready for you to research it. Chris, tell us about Brainstorm.
Only if you'll tell me about that description.
I just read them, man. Big game world of more than 300 room is ready for you to research it.
There you go. All right, well, let's get to researching.
What does the research say?
So, okay. Basically, what this game is it's going to remind you a little bit of Geometry Wars, which is one of my favorite games. I think I even mentioned it last week. It is, so it's like, your little fighter ship on a grid, and like as enemies fight, like the grid kind of undulates and like, bounces up and down, like they're actually destroying like this physical grid while you're playing. It's really, really cool in effect. So this game has you... you're basically, I guess the story is that you're a hacker and you're trying to hack things. I don't know, whatever. It's kind of like that other game that I, with that same pretense like last time. I guess if you really have to have a story for your game about like shapes on a grid, then yeah, it's hacking. But anyways, so in this one, you are a little circle and you have to go through a maze of grid, minimalist graphics. However, they are laid over with this effect that basically they kind of cast this weird like laser shadow, for lack of a better term, as you move around, and a lot of the blocks are just like kind of glitching in and out constantly. I don't know if you've played Doki Doki Literature Club, but if you have, then those blocks kind of scared me a little for completely unrelated reasons. So yeah, you're basically going through a glitchy like maze, and as you're going through this glitchy maze, you run into things like turrets. Turrets are shooting at you, and you're like, all right, time to blast. However, you have not been equipped with a gun in this game. Instead, you have a shield. The shield will deflect bullets, and so you actually have to get in front of these turrets and deflect their own bullets back to them. That is how you defeat them. But enemies are... Yeah, they're like, 50% of the challenge, I guess. The rest of it is trying to figure out the puzzles involved in getting to other rooms and being able to explore. A lot of this is going to involve doing things like hugging the walls and finding secret chambers. And yeah. And like I said, a lot of the challenge with the enemies as well is that you have limited amount of shields. So sometimes you have to like kind of barrel through one room full of enemies in order to get to the next room where you have to use like every bit of your shields. And the game will sometimes tell you that by just putting text on the ground, and it's like, ignore these, just go for the next ones or something like that. Try finger butthole. And and so, when you do that, then it unlocks more and more areas. And like basically, I guess the goal is to just uncover the whole map. And fortunately, you get like a nice little progress map, and the progress map even has like kind of save point. You can restart at a save point, which they're just spots in the middle of the ground that when you run over them, then it saves your game. And if you die, which you will a lot, then you can restart over there. So it's kind of a cool kind of way of doing things. And sometimes you get different abilities and challenges as you progress further and further, but a lot of players aren't going to progress much more than 20 rooms, because that is the final requirement to get those 1,000 gamer points.
I'm guessing you got them all.
Yeah, you get 1,000 gamer points if you uncover 20 rooms and if you die 15 times.
Nice.
And all the other goals are just die 1 time, die 5 times,
Nice.
die 10 times, etc.
Gotta love those Xitilon achievement lists.
Exactly. But yeah, it's actually a pretty cool little game. It might hurt your eyes. It seems to be pretty polarizing in the comments. I personally thought it was pretty cool looking. Mostly though, I was into the actual exploration and kind of puzzling stuff out aspect of it. So I thought that was actually pretty cool, and I kind of like that it's not a twin stick shooter. It's a one stick not shooter. So I don't know. We're coming up with genres today, right? So
Yeah, why not? Well, it's $5. What do you say?
I'd have to say fuck it, why not, for $5. It's not like a world beater or anything like that, but it's certainly worth at least the at least that many pennies. And I feel kind of like the odd man out because I haven't really given a deny it today. In fact, I was even earlier going to say that I actually do like Spelunker on the NES. It's a pretty good game, actually. Yeah, I mean, I like Kusoge kind of games, especially old ones. I've beaten many bad quote unquote games, and this one's pretty neat, actually.
Have you at least heard the Spelunker Overlooked Remix project?
I don't think I have, so you should probably play that in the show if you have it.
Yeah, that's the one with you fucking died on it.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Spelunker Party?
Huh?
Have you ever played Spelunker Party?
I've heard of it, but I haven't played it. Remind me what that is.
It's basically a modern Spelunker with a multiplayer emphasis for getting secrets and gear and for costumes and junk.
Oh yeah, and they also made a 3D a voxel version of Spelunker, right?
I think they did, actually. Now I kind of want to look for that because I want to try it. But
yeah, they won't let that shitty game die.
I was thinking, the weird thing is, my exposure
My fault.
was through Spelunker Party, and I ended up liking it too, despite complaining about the jump death being stupid. It's still somehow fun. I don't know why.
Well, so the thing about Spelunker is I actually feel like they did design the game around the really silly death. It's not like a game where if that wasn't there, then it's I don't know. It's they built the game around that limitation. So I'm it doesn't annoy me because it's kind of baked into the design of the whole thing. But anyway, I like bad games, so don't listen to me ever.
This show is way too long to talk about Spelunker. Does anyone have any final words?
No, we got to put Chris on the spot with the final words. Do you actually like Highlight? That's the king of shitty games.
Highlight?
Highlight.
Yeah.
Fuck, there's your ender for
Sorry.
Damn. Man likes Highlight. Jesus. Probably like virtual Highlight too.
So, I don't know if the recording's done, but I want to tell you.
Of course it's not done because no one stops talking long enough for me to hit stop. Hey, Mustin, how about you get the final words before we go into the song that's ending right now? Stop laughing, Pernell.
You just fucking died. 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 You fucking died. You just fucking died. Yeah. You fucking died.
You just fucking died. You just fucking died. You just fucking died. You just fucking died.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Remember this? Remember me, Eddie? I killed your brother!